You just went muted, and also your camera changed. You just changed your camera back to your regular.
No.
Oh. All right. Well, I guess we're live.
Lit.
Welcome
Well,
to
let's
Cult
bullshit for a
Beginnings.
minute. Let some
Yeah, we're
people
gonna
get here before we jump right into pseudoscience.
probably want to post in the Discord that we're live.
You up?
John, you are now also muted.
John's not muted.
I'm muted.
No, you were. You were for a second. Unless you were just moving your mouth around.
Dude, how did Birdie get in here so fast? That was
I was telling her that we were almost live. She was like already watching before it went up.
impressively fast.
Welcome to the herd, bird. Bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. She's just gonna leave after that. She's just gonna like, all right, I'm done. Just like fucking back up.
Bro, we got 202 views on this shit so far. It's crazy.
Hey. Hey. That's pretty good.
It's pretty fucking good, dude. We got 3 episodes. It's gonna be the 4th. The official second coming. It's exciting.
Yeah, buddy.
Is
We
there
got
something
5 up?
particular? What's up?
I was just saying we got 5 people in right now. I'm assuming like 2 or 3 of them are just us, but
Yeah.
still pretty good, pretty good.
We might have my buddy Devin from last night in here. Who knows?
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Well, today, subject at hand, pseudoscience and the dangers surrounding them. Alternative medicines. We just dipped back down to 2. As soon as I mentioned that, they're like, fuck you guys. Oh.
You mentioned any
Yeah.
numbers on a stream, they're gonna leave.
No,
I'd leave. I don't blame them.
Popping in and out.
yeah, we are recording these too, right? Cody?
They are
Fuck
being
yeah.
recorded.
We'll probably skip forward until we actually have until we actually legitimately start. I'd imagine.
If you want me to ramble for a while,
Do it.
I can do that.
Fucking spot on.
Fuck, dude. What was your favorite thing about growing up Mormon? What was everybody's favorite thing?
Favorite thing.
Mine personally was scouting.
Scouting is pretty cool.
Yeah.
A great leader and a great ward, so turned out good.
Yeah, scouting is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I liked eating bread, a little piece of bread every Sunday. That was my favorite.
Yeah. Something about that water just tasted clean. It just tasted like a nice little refreshing. Oh,
Little shot.
I want more, please. Like, I'd always remember like asking for more, and they're like, no. Like, why not? I like throw fits because I couldn't take like a second little cup or like keep my cup because I was a fucking dumbass or something. Like, I wanted to keep the little cup that it came in.
Yeah, I always wanted to keep the cup too.
And like, they're like, no, put it away. I'm like, no. What difference does it make? God doesn't need this back.
That's so funny. That's also my favorite part is fucking keeping the sacrament cups now. I fucking forgot about that. To give me something to chew on the entire fucking meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, scouting was absolutely the best part of religion, in my opinion.
Yeah, when we'd like stay out
More
like later,
specifically, LDS religion.
we'd go to like Macy's and get like ice cream, and if you did like some particular thing well, like one person a week got like the Kong cone, and the Kong cone's like this fucking big.
Oh yeah.
Like the ice cream on top of the cone is like fucking ridiculous. I remember getting that like a couple weeks in a row. And I'm like, I'm the best. Fucking
I'm
step
the
up.
best.
Well, it was cool to learn shit that like you could actually use outside of church. Cause like you go to church and they teach you all this shit, and you're like, okay, cool. How's this gonna affect my day to day?
Yeah, I mean same thing with school, but going to church, it's definitely more so like, so this guy killed this guy, and there's some lesson to be had about like how it's okay to kill people if God says it's okay.
At that point, anyone.
Why are you teaching this to children? Like, even I was like, oh, okay, justify murder. All right, sick. It's like, that's what I walked away from church.
Gladys just
like an
peeking
8-year-old.
into the camera.
Yeah,
Head
she's
comes
gonna
in
be
all
doing
sideways.
that. She kissed me. I need affection.
I don't know. Scouting was just, it was fun. It was good. We had good leaders. We got to go places that I wouldn't have otherwise. Like my family, we didn't vacation often. The one time we ever did go camping, it was for like our family camping trip with my dad's side of the family, and that was miserable. But like
Yeah,
we
it
got to go
sucks.
to Idaho and Montana. Got to hike the Tetons. We got to go to Moab a couple different times. Sand dunes, Goblin Valley,
Yeah, did
Lehman
that
Caves.
a lot.
Just
Yeah,
stuff
fuck
that's
yeah.
relatively close, but shit that I wouldn't have done
Yeah.
otherwise. So I really
Fair.
enjoyed it.
I definitely camped a lot regardless, but camping with people around my same age was like a little more fun than just like going with my parents. And
All the chaos you guys would get into at night.
oh yeah, I remember one time we straight up left this kid.
Are you serious?
We were on this like camping trip, and like it was a fucking mess. I almost died. We got in a couple trucks and just like drove like a couple miles away. Felt like to this other like fishing spot, this like reservoir, and we were like fishing there for like an hour or two, whatever, however long it was. And we all get in, came back, and then the scout leaders were like, "Where's James?" Like, we're like, was he in your car? He wasn't in our car. Was he in your car? I thought he was with you. Like, shit. So somebody had to like drive the way back, and like halfway through, they like found him on the side of the road, just like walking back, like kicking rocks and shit, like all upset.
Kicking rocks.
Just super bummed that like he was like left behind and forgotten. Like, oh my god. He comes back, and they come back, and like I was like off down the road a little ways, because up the road there was like a small little farm, and there were horses and shit. And this is how I found out that I was allergic to horses. Because I remember running back like, do we have apples? Do we have carrots or something? I'm like running back and feeding this fucking horse and like petting it and shit. And then I like start to feel like itchy and nose runny and whatever. Like I'm like incapable of like processing like when something's wrong, because you're a kid, you don't always necessarily recognize that. But I was also like on medication for like existentialism and depression as a kid. So I'm like, I come back and my face is all fucking, my eyes are swollen shut. I'm like, I feel kind of funny.
Kind of funny.
I feel kind of funny. And they're like, our eyes are just like fucking bulbous, like just, I feel funny, guys.
Did you rub your face on a horse, or what's up?
Pretty much, I was like rubbing my face, because I get itchy eyes, and I'm like scratching my eyes, and then they just fucking swelled shut. And I remember just like not being able to see for like half the trip. And they were like, I don't know what we do. What should we do? Oh, it was great. Yeah. So chaotic, for sure, but a lot of fun.
That was the good thing about Scouts. Got away with a lot of shit there that we shouldn't have.
That we shouldn't have.
I mean, there were kids in my troop that would go around stealing shit like fucking kleptos.
Fuck yeah, I saw
Super
so many
shady.
people like that. It's crazy. Dude, I had some shitty ass kids in my scout group, the kids that were stealing shit. But I, however, was a fucking little autist, and that is problematic in so many fucking ways to leaders and adults, because I'm like talking about crazy shit and laughing about random shit all the time, right? I was at a camp out, a week-long camp out at this place called Trotta, and it was so shitty. It was the shittiest place in the fucking world. And fucking one of my scout leaders got super angry at these kids because they were throwing dirt clods in the shower instead of making this huge mess on purpose, and they fucking pinned it on me. And like the scoutmaster was just so excited to fucking discipline me. And unfortunately, in these showers, some kid had taken a shit in one of these showers, and the scoutmaster was like, "That's your shower. Like, you gotta clean that."
Oh god.
I was so angry. I was probably 11, 12 years old. 7 years later, this guy's teaching a lesson in my church. And fucking mid-lesson, I was like, you remember when you made me clean up shit out of a shower for no reason? It wasn't in trouble. I didn't do anything. You made me clean up shit from a shower. You remember that? And this guy's like, yeah, if I remember correctly, you kept me up all night the night before. And I was like, you know what? This is bullshit, dude. I fucking left church, bro. Whoa! That's why I hate scouts, man. Fuck all that noise.
Just got word from the bird. The bird is the word that Cody. Apparently, you're a little quiet.
A little
You want to
quiet.
say something? You've got audio in or audio in the. I've got the stream up.
All right. Crank my mic way up. I should be better.
Lit. Can you guys give me feedback?
It's a bit
'Cause
better.
I have no idea how my mic sounds. I imagine I'm pretty fucking loud.
No, you sound good.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so far I can hear you a little better than I can hear your Cody.
I'm still quiet.
No,
There's
you
no
sound
way.
good.
I can hear you, but like you're definitely quieter than us.
I mean, I can crank my shit more. I'm just gonna be loud as
That's
fuck in
cool.
here.
Is there a way to change that in the stream settings to pick up just? I guess that would just pick up all audio, wouldn't it?
No, I can adjust my mic, but it's already turned up. So me turning up the gain on the mic itself. That's all I have. So
Okay. Well, I think we're probably okay.
it'll do. I'll just talk with my mic right here, all stream.
Oh hell yeah! Well, I'll do it.
How's my mustache? Nice and glowy?
You look like Satan. You got a little fucking red light in the face.
Alright, I'm gonna put a ban on that fucking software. We're 11 minutes in, and that's the second time it's happened already.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Well, let me-
Thank you for the follow.
Hey. Welcome to the herd.
I'm just gonna call you Dev, because I'm
Is that
not
Devin?
even gonna pretend I know how to say your name.
Fuck you, Devin. Devin's the only other person I've ever met who can talk to me about occulted literature and like all this crazy conspiracy shit that I was rambling about. I had a really good night last night with him. Did you guys know that the planets were aligned yesterday? Did anything
Oh.
bizarre happen to you? Anything weird?
No, not a single thing.
Yeah.
Very standard shit. Yeah, yesterday was weird for me in a lot of ways. Seeing that girl taking a picture of her cooch was very exciting, dude.
It was the highlight of your month.
The highlight of my life, dude. Fuck. Everything lined up perfectly for that one moment to be walking by this girl on this couch. It's perfect.
The planets aligned time travel to be real, and on the other side of that, we were in Las Vegas on Omegle telling this middle-aged woman to thumb her vagoo.
And she
It's all
fucking
connected.
did it too.
This is what you were doing last night? Are you kidding
No,
me?
this
No,
was
this was
Okay.
years ago.
yeah.
But
She
I mean,
totally did it.
This was a Shark Robot convention, and we were drunk playing on Omegle. You come
So
across
what
this
do you
chick who's just slapping her junk.
Well, that's
And
what you're
Spencer's
there
like,
for, right?
no, she's
Like,
not
this is
real. You're not real. He's like, put a finger in. Finger goes in. He's like, I got 2 fingers.
I was
2
like,
fingers
that could
go
just be
in.
happening. That could just be a coincidence.
He's like,
But
Can't just be a
He's like,
coincidence.
thumb it. Thumb your vagoo. And she fucking
like-
did it.
I
And
was
we
like-
lost our shit. I started laughing so fucking hard. And I think that whole trip, that's all we could talk about was just put a thumb in it.
thumb it.
Put a bird on it.
Oh yeah, that was weird. That was a weird experience.
It was something else.
I gotta feel bad for people that like that's the kind of attention they need. I mean, whatever, no judgment, but you know, there's other sources that you can go and do that, and you get paid for it. That are just like
It's true.
hopping on Omegle and just going to town on your business. Might as well make a buck.
Make a couple bucks, bro.
Yeah.
Would you be a cam girl? If you were a girl?
Probably, yeah.
I would probably do it.
Maybe not like a straight up cam girl, but I'd be like an Instagram
A thought. You'd be a
Yeah.
fucking thought, bro. Exciting.
It's like
I would too.
that's more. I don't want to show my bits to everybody.
Yeah. If I had the assets, I would probably do it now, but
If I had the assets, I would do it now. I think you do, man. I think you can make tons of money jerking off for guys. Trying to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Oh fuck.
Good start to fucking.
Throw up the Instagram to try to get attention from women. It's just like, dudes, it's like, oh, you know what? Can't like,
You better
where do you
embrace
draw
it, I
that line?
guess.
yeah. Where do you, like, is it homophobic if I like, no, like, no, stop it. Like, I'm putting myself out there. Is it like for like everybody? Is it homophobic if I'm just like,
Yes. This was only for women. Stop it.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I feel like that would be homophobic.
Yeah.
It's probably homophobic.
So
Spencer, you've been doing some research for pseudoscience. That's what this episode is going to be about. Is there anything that sticks out to you?
oh, I think we've all been doing a bit of
Evidence.
research for pseudoscience, and oh boy, quite the rabbit hole it's been.
For real.
I feel like the segment we should start on is the one that I've kind of been preluding to past couple times we've like gotten into it. I feel like I've given away like too much of it at this point, but I'm gonna delve into it anyways.
Do you want to jump right into it, or do we just want to talk about pseudoscience? Give a
Let's-
couple
let's
examples of it, and
Let's start with pseudoscience. Let's refer to like I want to lay some groundwork before we like jump in.
Yeah. What was everyone's? Yeah, talk to us.
So
Talk to us.
just to like clarify specifically what like pseudoscience is, it's concepts and ideas and claims that claim to be scientific that are not necessarily backed by evidence or research. They're generally guided by fallacious arguments or just like inflated egos, something along the lines of that. It can become problematic. However, they can be incredibly convincing arguments, and I want to like mention that more often than not, everybody and anybody believes something along the lines of some form of pseudoscience, something at least teetering on that line. So, before we jump into this, we're probably going to make some jokes. Probably going to sound a little conceited, but I want to precurse by this. Everybody does it
we all believed it.
at some point.
I'm
Right.
guilty. You're guilty. John's guilty.
Yep. Every day I'm like,
We're
"Hey,
all-
you guys
we're all guilty
shoved
of
a
it."
crystal up your butt?"
Reason we're here is to shed some light on this stuff. Maybe
Help you
provide
make
some new
some
information that you
educated
didn't necessarily
decisions
have.
going forward.
Yeah. Maybe just like kind of put a little more weight behind things that you were already aware of. It's like, yeah, I'm a little more informed about these problems and how to like look out for them and how to like recognize when some claims might not necessarily be sustainable, right? So we want to lay that down just because we're just like throwing shade at people, making them feel like they're dumb. They're not. Everybody
Okay,
something.
to be fair, most of the quote-unquote pseudoscience we're going over today is quite a fucking stretch.
Yeah, it's the extreme for sure. Like this is the undeniably fucking.
It's
retarded,
not-
like,
Yeah, this one doesn't teeter so much on, oh, that
Well-
might be real. It's like, how? How the fuck does that make sense?
I did want to touch on a couple topics that might show up in your day-to-day life. Some of the claims that I'm looking into are like essential oils and even like chiropractics, and like their roots in bullshit claims backed by crazy people that have been around for so long that now it's just kind of a part of your everyday life that people haven't necessarily may not take the time to look into because you don't feel like there's reason to look into it. So I feel like we're gonna touch on both sides of that.
hell yeah. Hell
Real
fucking
far
yeah.
out there and the stuff that's like just a little bit like questionable.
What topics came up? Should we make a list so we make sure or like I don't know, give like a little list out? What are we gonna touch on today? You know.
So-
What did you get?
I've done my fair share of research on Dianetics, which is
Dianetics,
the
man.
pseudoscience of Scientology. Dianetics basically led to Scientology. So, we will get to that after Spencer's Young Living.
Fucking young living. Surprisingly, I put a lot of effort into a baby chiropractic practices.
Hey, yeah, we're both gonna touch on that a bit. Then.
Baby
Lit, too.
chiropractic. That sounds
Yeah, have you
terrifying.
seen that shit? Dude,
No.
it's crazy.
It's problematic for sure. I've done that. I'll have some words
You
on
just
your
grab
topic
your
as well.
baby
It's
by
gonna
the
be
ankle
interesting.
and swing it around. Look, I fixed
Yeah.
its spine.
Pretty much.
That's exactly
So,
right.
starting into essential oils and specifically like MLMs and how they correlate with cult-like behaviors. So, Young Living specifically, let's start there. Young Living was founded by a man named Donald Gary Young. Uh, Donald Gary Young sometimes abbreviates his name to just D. Young. D sometimes looks like just doctor if you're just like kind of glancing over it because he's trying to pretend to be a doctor. And there's a bunch of instances that I'll like kind of go over that allude to him. He's had several malpractice, practicing medicine without a license, arrests basically throughout his life. So this man, born in Salmon, Idaho, 1949, real close to home, gets even closer. So just basically going over his Wikipedia, a couple of research, YouTube videos, other people that have had problems with this specific organization in the past, kind of presenting like this dude shedding some light on the claims that he'd made. The origin story basically of Young Living is that this dude claimed at the age of 24 he suffered a near fatal logging accident, which rendered him in a wheelchair, paralyzed from the waist down, and he cured himself using the power of essential oils, right? So that is the fundamental basis, the claim of essential oils, the starting point of Young Living. And I feel like that's something that should be taken into consideration very seriously, because if this company still exists this day, the claims that led to what they are now should be held accountable for those claims and substantiating them. So
Did they make an oil that'll make my penis longer?
I'm sure
If
somebody
they
out there.
can cure paralysis, making my junk longer should be easy, right?
Should
Yeah,
be.
probably.
If-
I'm sure they've got some blend out there.
Do they have
So-
one that'll like regrow your pec?
I know that they.
Can
I
we
don't know
test this?
Hey, let's put it to the test. No, but there are claims that it can help cure erectile dysfunction. So I'm sure somebody out there
Everything
somewhere.
supposedly cures ED.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
saw this hot girl. It cured my erectile dysfunction, man. Sorry.
Well, there you
we've
go.
gone over the bite model a few times and how something can be correlated is with cult-like behavior. If something falls under, say, like 5 or more of these principles, it can be generally associated as cult-like. And kind of go over like the methods that MLMs use specifically, and like this one in particular, that you can kind of use this model to determine what may or may not be problematic and why this company is generally associated as being somewhat cult-like. There was a class action lawsuit, I think it was just sometime last year, where they lost a $1.5 million lawsuit, class action, because the tactics that they were using were misleading, basically outright lies. They were using cult. They were referred to many times in the court cases being cult-like, and using the bite model to determine that those methods are problematic and very cultish in nature. But back into Donald Gary Young, or D. Young. D. Young, as I'll
Young.
often refer to him as, opened a clinic in Spokane, Washington, which offered unlicensed medical services, including childbirth. During the course of investigation, Young offered to deliver a baby. He claimed that he could detect cancer with a blood test and treat disease. During this time, he was arrested for like basically providing medical assistance without a license, because he offered it to a police officer, basically saying that he's going to do like a water birth with this dude's baby. And if we go back quite a bit earlier, 1982, Young and his then wife Donna attempted childbirth.
Thank you for the follow, Drop Dead Cyanide. Appreciate that.
Drop dead
Um,
cyanide.
This man self-delivered his own child because, again, this dude is 100% against Western medicine, current medicine as it exists, and he'll do just about anything to avoid it. So he had a health clinic operated in the early 80s, and this was all over headlines and news. Attempted to deliver his own child in a water birth, in a whirlpool bath in this health clinic. Just already like fucking gross and problematic, like just in a fucking whirlpool bath. Anyways, that baby died. He killed it.
Oh,
So-
what? Okay, I was gonna say, like, some people have natural births and it's fine, but like the baby died, like
Yeah.
the baby fucking died.
So the problem is that he was under the impression, because again, this dude thinks he knows everything. The baby died from cardiac arrest. It was under the water for upwards of an hour,
Yeah, he was trying to kill that baby, dude.
Oh yeah.
and he got off scot-free, not even manslaughter,
Ah,
because he made these claims that no, like, this is bullshit. A baby can survive with the umbilical cord through the mother's nourishment. There's these claims that it is being more adapted into being outside of the womb if you just leave it in the water for however long you need it to, because it's still getting its oxygen. If the placenta leaves the womb, it is no longer attached because the umbilical cord is connected to the placenta, and that generally happens within a few minutes after childbirth. I can't substantiate that specifically. Everybody's going to be different, but if the placenta is gone, that life support that is severed. So this dude doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Just set that right there, then and there. Again, this is in the 80s. Like, hardly anybody knew what the fuck they were talking about. We still don't have perfect medical science. But the coroner, the county coroner, outright stated, if this child were born under conventional means, it would have survived. It was a healthy child. No reason it should have necessarily died from cardiac arrest. It was because it was underwater for so long. Dude got off scot-free and continued practicing alternative medicines after this, opening other clinics, being arrested time after time for just malpractice suits. And eventually opened Young Living and Young Living Essentials. So the business model that Young Living uses is what is often referred to as a multi-level marketing company. MLMs, the basic concept is that you are providing a product to a lower level tier of distributors, and those distributors are therefore selling something and making a commission off of the product, and that 10% of that commission is going up the streamline. It is essentially, and it's not even essentially a pyramid scheme. It is absolutely a pyramid scheme, because your person at the top making all the money, they have their lower distributors. Those distributors are incited to, or can't think of the word. They're trying to go out and get more distributors to sell more product and move more product up. That is the definition of a pyramid scheme. The only reason it's not illegal is because they are actually providing a product. So, a couple things with Young Living specifically that they do. Where's my notes here? So, there is a starter kit to become a distributor, because you have to buy your way in, and that's why a lot of this becomes problematic. Minimum starter kit, $160. Not a big
What?
deal. Not a huge deal, but you are invested to put money into this. And a lot of the reason that people in this particular MLM become distributors isn't necessarily to actually go out and bring other people in or buy other products. A lot of it is actually just because there are discounts and deals on their website that they provide, and some people claim that that's the only reason they're involved, is just to get that discount. However, it is a minimum $50 a year to keep your membership, to be considered a distributor, which is, again, not a huge deal. However, the problem comes down to the fact that in order to turn a profit of any kind, you are required to make purchase of a minimum of $50 a month to pass along that information, to get the shit that you need to pass that along to the people below you, to like bring in a handful of people. And the average distributor spends upwards of $100 or more to retain this like business structure that they're trying to like make money off of, this business model of bringing people in, getting 10% of their commission, and you need to like basically keep investing money in this company to supposedly make money. But Cody, I sent you a chart earlier that refers to, this was the chart that was provided by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, I believe, and basically gives a breakdown on business models and ways of earning money, and tip like the average on what income people are going to make based on those models. So once we
No,
get
it's not pulling up. Give me a sec.
I can open it and send it through Facebook if I need to.
I don't know if it's working.
I just
It's
sent it through
all
Facebook.
fucked up now.
It's all
Nice.
fucked up now. It's funny.
Yep. Alright, well, I can get Streamlabs up. And it's just showing the stream there. Let me move this.
Oh jeez.
I don't know why it's not showing it.
It's all fucked up.
Alright. Continue. I will work on this.
Well, I have the chart in front of me.
Yeah,
So-
tell us what you feel about it.
Wage earnings, having a job. You are either making salary or an hourly wage. It's 100% profit. I mean, you're not necessarily investing into having a job, right? Legitimate direct selling, 20% of people that are basically like opening a store or something, buying something and selling it, 20% of those people are going to lose money. Small businesses, 61%. So if you're opening a small business, it is a less than, you're 39% likely to make a profit. Non-product pyramid schemes, that's what I was referring to earlier, where you're basically doing this concept, however you're not buying anything to retain like a membership. You're just bringing people in to do whatever the fuck it is you're going to do. That is a 90% loss. 90% of anybody that joins a pyramid scheme, which are illegal, lose money. 97.1 of people, all that are gambling, literally just going to Vegas, playing the slots, 97.1% of all people that are just anticipating to make money in that model are going to lose money. MLMs, Young Living, doTERRA, Herbalife, companies like this that use this model, 99.6 of all distributors or members lose money. There is no money to be made in an MLM business product. However, that's not what you're going to see if you go to doTERRA or Young Living's website. It's all glamorous people, like exorbitant conventions and people that are smiling, waving, throwing their money around, making it seem like there's money involved and then there's money to be made. And if you go on any Facebook page, any organization that has like a community involved around it, and you try to basically shed some light on it, if you try to get information or you're a little bit critical, they'll bring in other people to talk you down. So looking at the bite model and tactics used to determine what is and isn't a cult, it's also another thing, they, once you sign into this membership, once you pay the starter kit fee, there are a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo basically that states that you are not allowed to be associated with other essential oil companies. You can't be a distributor for both Young Living and doTERRA.
It's fucking cold.
Yeah.
That's
So
fucking cold.
it promotes that like us versus them mentality, that you're like basically binded to this company. And if you start to have questions, if you start to like question like your streamline, your main line up towards the top, you'll basically be excommunicated. I've seen reports of people that have found some critical information about that, and they're trying to do some research, and they're being threatened to like lose their membership and their ability to be a distributor. Basically, there was a study done, and I think this was actually just towards Donald Gary Young. I don't think this was necessarily through Young Living, but this is one of the businesses that he opened up before, basically determining alternative means of medicine. But again, you kind of have to associate the company behind the founder and the claims that they've made, that they sent in cat and chicken blood to be tested by one of the facilities that this guy opened, and they basically returned the test stating like, oh yeah, this person is a high risk of cancer and all sorts of blood problems. That there were no tests coming back, basically saying that it was a person. The FDA has come down on both Young Living and doTERRA on the claims that they've made about back in like 2000, I think this was 2014, back when like Ebola was like a big old problem, right? 2014, FDA warned Young Living of claims they were making. Young Living claimed that essential oils cured Ebola, heart disease, childhood trauma, Parkinson's, autism, PTSD, etc. So they're pretty limited. They'll provide these business models to the distributor, basically claiming like, be careful about the claims that it's a medical problem. You can't say that essential oils cured your insomnia, but you can say that it helps you sleep better. You can't say that it's like cured your headaches, but that like you're more at ease or whatever. They have to be really vague with the claims that they're making. But at the end of the day, they're leaving it up to the distributors to make the claims. It's not up to like Young Living and doTERRA, which is just, if you give your fucking layman the ability to say whatever they're going to say, they're going to come up with some stupid shit. I'll probably say this 1,000 times throughout the remainder of like the time that we're doing these podcasts, but if you take your idea of like your average dude, your average person, they're probably a fucking idiot, generally. That's your common denominator. Half of all people are going to be dumber than they are, and that's a problem. So there are, I think, 3 million distributors for Young Living across the world, and just raking up all this money at the top using basically false claims to just give this fucking organization more money than God.
And it's an appealing idea. I mean, an oil that can cure all these issues. If you were suffering and you couldn't find a cure, like, you know, I get it. Like, okay, let's try this oil. But the fact that they're claiming that in the first place with no research done to prove any of it, it's just an outlandish claim. Like, oh yeah, this oil, there you go, cured.
I honestly wish people would be honest. I think the placebo effect is exactly what's at play here. However, I do believe in the placebo effect quite a bit. I think it's pretty systematically useful. That's all it is, right? Like the
placebo effect. Yeah, exactly. So it's placebo effect is real. The problem that when it comes down to it is that like placebos exist, they can be beneficial, but when something is replacing genuine means of medicine, it becomes harmful. If something that is a placebo that is more expensive than a traditional placebo, it is harmful. It is providing like insight on like problematic claims. So that's
placebo acts as a good standard, a good qualifier.
Yeah, it's at best a placebo, at best. But the problem is that these oils are ridiculously expensive. The tiny jar that big of oil can run you upwards of $100. And you can find the same oils online on like eBay that aren't necessarily being distributed through one of these two massive fucking companies for a fraction of a percentage of the cost. And one of the claims that companies like this make is that it's all natural, no synthetics. However, one of the distributors that started to have questions on, they're starting to question everything that was being told, because they've come out on many occasions stating that, like, oh, like, the FDA won't let us make these claims because they know that it, like, works, and they can't patent these oils. Like, pharmaceutical companies can't patent these oils, therefore, like, they're going
Thank
to come out
you for the
against
follow,
us.
Keep it. Thank you.
But the
We
problem
got
with
we got a couple of comments too. Actually, keep going. I'm gonna interrupt you.
I was saying, problem with that is specifically is that um that's like that form of persecution. When somebody claims, like, to be persecuted and try to, like, bring people in, like, oh, what was me? That's a form of manipulation that cults use quite often. And um anyways, back to this woman. She sent in, so there was no tampering. She ordered it, but she changed the address of the delivery to a lab that was able to test down to the molecule these oils, and they found out that half of what was in the oils was indeed synthetic. Not that it should really matter, because they're using naturalistic fallacies to determine that these things are good, when something, just because something's natural doesn't necessarily mean that it's any better for you. It's just like something in people's brain that makes them think that natural equals healthy. It's a synonym for healthy when it's not. So they just sent waves of people after this person saying it's a smear campaign, it's nonsense. Like, we're not gonna, I mean, we don't get this stuff tested because, again, pharmaceutical companies aren't gonna get it tested because they can't patent it. But, like, trust us, trust us, trust us. Don't trust anybody else. And they're limiting the amount of information that's being provided to these people, and the claims that they're using are already just kind of bullshit in general. So it's just fucking problematic, and it's very cult-like in behavior, and I just don't think I just want to shed some light on it because this is huge. Like, I feel like these companies are
They're massive, and they have a
Yeah.
lot of spread and reach.
yeah,
Like everyone knows what essential oils is now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have the insight to question the claims that they're making. Because,
Yeah.
again, it's very convincing. It's something you're going to see in your day-to-day life. Your aunt, your mom, they're involved with it, and they're going to fucking tell you, like, oh, if a lot of people have anxiety and depression, they're going to fucking tell you, like, put some lavender in your ass and you'll be fine.
Right?
It has a cult following. Like, these people adhere to this as if it were pivotal to their values, pivotal to their ideology. And then they get offended when, like, you try to rationalize it or try to think critically around it. That's
Yeah.
really the problematic aspect. Fucking
know.
consistent brainwashing.
Well, and that's the
Couple.
crazy thing is it goes from being like a job or a hobby to a defining aspect of their life.
Yeah.
When you ask them about themselves, anyone that sells it is going to be like, "Oh yeah, I sell essential oils through Young Living or DoTerra." It blows my mind.
Yeah, I've had many instances of somebody trying to, like, pull me aside to, like, tell me about this shit, how amazing it is. It's, like, life changing. And I've actually gotten, like, in fights with friends over the past, like, week that I've been studying this, because I know friends that are. I have a friend who is a distributor technically for Young Living, and she's made the claim that, like, she's not pulling other people in. She's not under the pretenses that she's trying to make money off of it. She's using it for the discount, but one way or the other, she's still supporting this company. She's not one of the people that's making the claims that it's going to cure, like, Alzheimer's or anything like that. She thinks it helps relieve her stress,
Not yet.
that it helps her horses stress or become a little more subservient for some reason.
I feel like this is where it starts. You start with just for yourself, and then
Yeah.
you use one oil and think you see a result from it, and then you're like, "Oh my god, everyone check this out."
Everyone, check this out. I think it's important to talk about magic. Again, placebo effect is real, and you can convince yourself of anything. And if you're trying to tell someone that you're able to convince yourself that something works for you, it's as far as that sentence goes. Guys, fucking, I started shoving crystals up my butt. It really helps me talk to my family. You gotta fucking shove something up your butt next time you go to fucking family dinner.
Keeps you a little more alert, a little more
Keeps you a
energy.
little more alert. Can we talk about Gwyneth Paltrow for a bit? Have you
Oh,
wrapped up?
God.
Let's address this question from Nate. It says, what
For
role
sure.
do you think families play in keeping cults and continuing? They play a huge role.
Yeah.
It's that social pressure from your family and you know, everyone around you, that if you step out of line, you're no longer family to them. Like it's almost like they're holding you hostage with their love and support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's comes down to that. John, you
Devin, yeah, you're good. Devin brings up talking. He said, putting ideas in the minds of impressionable children. That's the scary part, dude. Fucking not giving kids the tools to like ascertain what a fucking scam is and what a cult is. Like, you just tell kids that fucking like consecrated oil is gonna fucking save people through blessings through the Mormon Church. Like, that's the exact same fucking tech. Like, this is special because we make it. That's fucking not a good way to make functioning members of society. It's a good way to make people who are going to be taken advantage of the rest of their life.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they go for them so young. That's why 8 is when they're like, okay, you can be a member of the church now. Like, you're
Yeah,
baptized
because
in. Because at that
studies say
age, you're, according to them, old enough to make that decision. But thinking about the consequences that it bears in their eyes, 8 is nowhere near old enough. Like, at 8 years old, you make the decision to live your life in the name of God from then on, so you can live eternity in his presence, that's terrifying. That's a lot of weight for someone our age, let alone a little 8-year-old.
Yeah.
But they get them that young because then they're raised in it, and it's just, that's their life. And it's fucked.
Yeah. Interesting that you bring up families and like the pressure that they put on you. I shared this podcast to my Facebook just to kind of incite people to come in. But guess who I did not allow to see that I shared this podcast on my Facebook? My family. Because majority of my family is still LDS, and that pressure for me to like kind of still be like okay in their eyes, and I don't need to like them coming down on me, still exists to this day. They know
Well,
I'm not an active member of their church, but
at this point, I
it's
feel like it's more of a respect thing. It's more like, okay, you guys are members of the church. We're going to shit talk the church on this podcast. Maybe it's better you don't come in. What up,
That's
Thomas?
good values. That's good. That's good insight. That being said,
up?
I'm still bound by shame. Like, the reason why I'm not sharing this with my family is because of shame. Is because the cult made me feel like I'm a bad person for having a fucking opinion.
Yeah,
And that is
yeah,
still
exactly.
like deeply rooted into my psyche. It fucking sucks.
Yeah, like primary is going to teach you enough for you to make that decision. Like, in primary, they teach you about Noah like 4 or 5 different times throughout the year. It's the same like 4 lessons over and over. And then they're like, all right, now you know enough about the church. Welcome. You can go get baptized now. Not that you have a choice.
Janky ass cartoons that weren't actually even made by the church, but are like kid friendly versions of like watching.
Thanks, Thomas.
Five.
We figured we'd
Murder.
support.
Some dude.
Oh, we're already streaming it? Fuck yeah, dude. I'm not even listening. Sorry, Spencer, what were you saying?
Oh, I'm just saying like they have cartoons. The church has. I mean, they're not officially from the church, but there's like those LDS stories. The ones I'm talking about. That like show. You know the stories from the Book of Mormon. Like I vividly remember a story of, one of the fucking Mormon, he's like Nephi or something, murdering this dude, and like how it was okay.
Yeah, it was to get the golden plates back. Nephi and his brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I remember that from like the day I can remember. It's like
And anything for God's true word and God's true plan. Now, gotta kill
Yeah.
whoever gets in our way, dude. Kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die, dude.
oh yeah.
So I think sending people on a mission at 18 or 19 is just kind of sealing their fate as a member of the church.
Yeah.
It's you go
I
out
think-
for 2 years and you preach about, the church. And regardless of if you believe it or not, if you sit there and talk to people for 2 years about it, you're going to eventually believe it. You're going to come back and your faith is going to be faith. It's going to be more solid than it ever has been.
Yeah, like I mentioned on the last cast, like it's one thing. It's it really solidifies something like the learning process when you take some knowledge in with the expectations that you're going to go tell somebody else. So it really seals that information in your brain. But it's also manipulative to make somebody that's like maybe not sure go and tell, hey, John, have you heard about this? This is what I believe. This is what I believe. Go to door. This is what I believe. Do you want to hear about what I believe? For 2 years
Straight up,
with no
straight up.
contact with your family, with no access to critical information, no questioning it. I remember watching this movie. It was a Mormon-produced movie back in the day about these missionaries and like blah blah blah. And there was this dude in the movie who was like, "Hey, what are you like talking to his mission president? Like, hey, I've just got this information. Like, what do you think? Like, what should I do if somebody brings up the fact that like the Book of Mormon references horses, but it's like common knowledge even like at the time that this was made that horses didn't exist in like the North America." And he's like, "How fucking dare you?" Like comes down on him like, "How dare you question that?" Like he doesn't even answer him. He's like, "Oh, like understand." Like it's like, "No, you're wrong. You're bad." Like, and then throughout the story, like this dude becomes more and more problematic. He's like the bad guy though, because he starts questioning his faith, and they end up like just fucking cutting him out, sending him home. It's like, how is this a good story? Like you got the assholes that can't answer his questions, and instead of like answering them and like showing him the error of his ways or whatever, you fucking excommunicate him. You send him home. You stop talking to him. You stop being okay with him. Like that was the point of this movie. And I'm like,
So that's what
That's a fucking
this is
cold,
what's good
bro.
to you.
Devin
This is
just
what's,
pointed
like-
out. He was saying he was asking questions, asking why in church, and everyone was getting upset, screaming at him, getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like that's number one. If someone gets mad at you for thinking critically, there's an issue there. That's a big red flag.
Yeah.
Like,
seriously.
if you can't ask a question about it and then answer it without getting upset or screaming at you, like, should maybe reconsider that.
Yeah, or using any other kind of shame tactics. They fucking told me to stay in the boat. They didn't answer any of my questions, any of my critical questions. They're like, just don't think about that. Just stay in the boat. What the fuck does this even mean, dude? Like, you guys aren't adults. I have a couple of things to say about the initiation of children into this fucking religion at age 18, 19. It's fucking the scariest shit I can fucking wrap my head around. The fact that to go on a mission, you have to take eternal covenants in the temple and go through this crazy initiative experience where you make a blood oath with God, this like theoretical oath, all these fucking handshakes and shit, and then to get feedback from people who go to the temple, not to mention seeing the videos, the people who are like brave enough to fucking sneak a camera into that shit, see those videos. It's fucking scary what fucking happens in that temple. And to be a kid indoctrinated as a child, be like, I love to see the temple, I'm going there someday, and not to fully understand the implications of that, but then one day find yourself at the footsteps of a fucking temple just to go in there and get fucking slapped in the face with this occulted fucking ritual for 3.5 hours to come out and not be able to tell another fucking soul about it. Like, that is brainwashing all the way down to the fucking, like, the last number, dude. That's the scariest shit
Well,
I've ever heard in my life.
most of the people I feel that go on a mission, I'm sure that's got to be a very uncomfortable, like, ritual for them. Like saying your prayers, paying your tithing, reading the Bible every night. Like, that's one thing, but you get there and then there's all this shit you were never told about that's happening that's really outlandish and would look culty. Like, at that point, you can't question it. You're in too far.
You're in too far. That's what's up.
And I
Yeah.
think that's how everyone justifies them staying in even after that. They're like, well, I'm already this far. Like, it's kind of weird, but
Yeah.
it's like, no, that was fucking crazy. You got like hands reaching out from behind
The
fucking,
veil.
yeah. A lot of crazy symbolism and chants and shit. No, I never went into the temple.
Yeah, I never did either. I had my mission papers frozen. I had my mission papers in 5 years ago. I was doing the whole bit, but I had them frozen, so I never got my calling or went to the temple.
I never went into the back where like there's the
Where you
ox and the veil and all that. But there was Provo Temple, the old Provo Temple used to be. There was a day where it was like open for people to come in, but you couldn't go that in. You went into basically like where people get married, and there's the basically just the big church area, but nothing further than that. So technically, and I didn't burst into flames, which is good. I do have a
didn't burst
story.
into flames. Dude, I always wanted to go to the temple high and see what happens. Tell us a story.
I have a story of a friend I used to work with. Again, this is just a friend back in the day, but he did serve an LDS mission after this story was shared with me. So I don't have reason necessarily to not believe him. He didn't seem like he kind of just like make shit up for no reason. He was LDS, but he was telling me about this story of him doing baptisms for the dead with these two dudes that were a little weird, but like whatever. So he walks into the back room, basically the shower room where they're getting ready, putting on the white clothes to go back out there and be dunked in, and they were clapping each other's cheeks. They were having gay sex in the temple, in the
Are you
Provo
serious?
temple. Yeah. I'm
It's
like,
exciting.
if you can walk into the fucking temple, God's house, and fuck another man, and the church is against like gay marriage, like
That
that
means
is an
God's
immediate
dead.
sign to me that like there is no fucking consequence. That is not something that is no punishment, because like
I mean,
there-
he'll turn a blind eye to that because it's in his own house. He's too busy watching everyone else.
Is that the rationalization? Is that what's up? The last 10 times I went to church, I went very, 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 very high. And I thought at some point God was going to be like, hey, fuck you, bitch. Like, you should feel bad about it. But the entire time, I felt great. I was high, and I was excited about it. That being said, fucking shit was it scary to reconcile. Like, being high around people fucking saying all this dumb shit. I know I mentioned this, but like, a celestial exaltation and everlasting like all these random big words that don't make any fucking sense that these kids are talking about. It's fucking scary, dude. It's so fucking scary. We should totally go to church again, you guys. We should find a singles
I'll just
word.
find a singles word and just walk in
Well,
there.
that's what we should do. We should just go do a live stream from church.
Hey guys, I just wanted to bear
my Live stream?
testimony.
We'll just, dude, off my phone, I'll stream it, and it'll just be us sitting on the bench with my phone there, and us just in the back trying not to lose our shit the entire time at the fucking crazy stuff that they say.
Well, the thing is, like, it's a big wind tunnel of just like their own being told over and over again. I believe Joseph Smith is a prophet. If you listen to like one,
It's an
testimony
echo
per-
chamber.
and if
Yeah.
somebody were to walk in there and say something slightly different, the bishop would come in and pull you off fucking stage because you're not doing that circle jerk.
You're not circle jerking with everybody else.
'Cause if you're truly up there being open-minded, I should be able to walk up there and bear my testimony, but there's no way that's ever gonna fucking happen. Quick way to get excommunicated though, because I don't want to put my papers in.
Dude, that'd be so.
It wouldn't even be excommunication. You'd have to do it a couple times, I think. If you went up there and started speaking the truth, they'd be like, we need to have a meeting. I don't know what church you go to or where you grew up, but I'm going to find out. What's your name? We're going to reach out to your bishop.
Here, this is it. This is the last ward I was in.
This
This
one.
is easier than sending in my papers to be excommunicated to have my name pulled from the records. So that's why I'm here. Thanks for doing the work for me. I fucking love it.
They would spite you. They'd be like, fuck you, bro. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Jesus loves you anyways, dude.
Yeah, bitch. Jesus loves you anyways, bitch.
Bitch. What's so sad too? I can't get over how some of my friends went and proselyted to fucking other individuals in the country. Like, it's one thing to go be a fucking missionary and go help people like build houses in third world countries and do like basic fucking humanitarian work. It's another thing to go to grown ass adults in fucking America who have the internet and fucking all these resources and try to tell them to join a cult and compromise their coffee habit, their sex, and all this dumb shit. And like most of my friends fucking served in the States and they came back fucking terrified because like every single person was like, dude, you're in a cult. Like, you gotta get out. Like, you can't come to my doorstep, bro.
Well, I mean, think of our Provo house. Like, those missionaries are fucking persistent. How many times did they show up there where it's like 5 o'clock at night on like a Friday or Saturday? We're all super drunk. We've got tags, big ass, basically that flag, or this one, the One Nation, No God flag, hanging right at our front door. And they're like, oh, hey, are you guys members? And we're just like, look over our shoulders at the flag, and we're like, no.
That's a negative.
Like, do you want to talk about it? No. And dude, they came back like 4 more times after that.
They did. They kept inviting us to their fucking fucking cookouts and shit, like their barbecues.
And then there was that little kid who brought like a soda over or something and was like, hey, I just got this feeling like God told me I should come and give this to you guys and welcome you back to the church. The kid was like
Nate,
8 years old. It's fucked up.
Yeah, straight up. Nate brought up a good point, considering he's like, what about outside of the country? That's almost worst to him, because that is pretty fucked up. Going to someone who's ignorant, who doesn't have resources, and promising them that God's gonna save them and shit too.
But on the lowest end, they're at least getting humanitarian work. They're at least helping them like build shit and do their daily chores. Like, they at least get that out of it.
Well, they're not gonna put a temple up around a bunch of garbage houses. They need to make sure their property value is gonna retain.
Just putting a temple up drives the property value up.
Yeah. Fucking Thomas says you gotta love feeling like a project. I fucking think about that a lot.
Real.
Fucking think about that so much, dude. I've been in fast and testimony meetings where people are like talking about how their friends who are Mormons are making friends with people who aren't Mormons, and then these people who aren't Mormons make it clear to them that they don't want to be Mormon, and then they fucking stop being their friend. And every single time they talk about these stories, it's always about, oh, how sad these people fucking said they didn't want to be Mormon and that we couldn't be their friends anymore. It's like everyone is so deluded, like they miss the logical fallacy. It's like you're creating projects out of people. Like, you have an agenda. Like, you're going to people's houses and like trying to get them to fucking like do what you're doing because you're insecure about your own decisions.
Yeah.
And you want other people to affirm them. And then you stop being their friends. What's up?
I wasn't baptized immediately when I was 8. It took me till I was 11, I think. And I remember, like, the neighbor parents wouldn't let me hang out with their kids because I wasn't baptized yet. I was a demon seed. I was a problem, and I liked Pokemon. So, like, Pokemon's of the devil. Like, I had some crazy eccentric neighbors that were like, oh, that kid, no. Like, can't hang around him. And there was enough pressure on me. I'm like, fuck it, all right, I'll get baptized. I'm 11. Like, just send me in, because I go to school with these kids.
Kids, I want friends.
Yeah, I want friends. And like my whole neighborhood, the whole community I grew up in was nothing but like Mormon kids that were like pressured to not hang out with me because their parents were assholes.
Yep. I remember growing up, there was a few kids in our ward that didn't go, and we all avoided them. And then I went, it was pretty fucked, man.
Yeah.
Like, granted, I got to know them once we got older in like elementary school. It was like 5th or 6th grade, and they were in our class. But like, one of my best friends growing up wasn't religious, and I'm guilty of that whole project thought. I was like, oh yeah, I'll bring him to scouting, and maybe he'll start coming to church, and then like he'll be a member, and like I can hang out with him all the time. That'd be cool. Yeah, I didn't go that way. I brought him to scouting once, and all the other kids are like, why is he here? That kid's not religious. None of them would talk to him. None of them would acknowledge him. Like, it was fucked. And that's when it made me start questioning church. It's like, your God teaches love, and like, you're supposed to be friends with people who aren't religious. Anyone, really. Like, it doesn't matter. You're supposed to be nice and friendly to everyone. And here I'm bringing someone in who might have genuinely been interested, but your guys' reaction pushed him out. I was like, oh, okay. That's the kind of bullshit that everyone's pushing here? Like, huh. And from then on, I started to question everything and started to feel that unworthiness that they push on everyone.
I'm fucking proud of you, man. It took me a long time to put some pieces together. Like the blatant shaming of other people over my head. Didn't consider that for a long time. Oh man, at least you dodged a bullet, dude.
Yeah,
I wasn't I wasn't like active by any means for like the longest time, but I still like had in my head that like, oh, like maybe I'm wrong. Like I have these like existential thoughts, like what if it's not real? And I felt like existential shame because I was questioning like the afterlife and like what happens to you and blah blah blah. And it was like I couldn't go to anybody in my circle with these questions, and it caused like a lot of like terrifying problems for me at a young age. Thinking about these things. And then by the time I was kind of like out of it, it still was like I didn't have like a substantial belief. It was either, well, it is or it isn't, but like who am I to say? And I couldn't like again go to people I knew about these problems that I had because I felt like I'm just burdening them with these problems, with these thoughts of if it's not real. Like I didn't have like the capacity to like make those questions heard because I just felt like I was the problem. Like I'm the one that has these thoughts that aren't holy or like whatever. I need to sit down and pray on it or not to pray on it or like find one answer or the other. And then it took like 3 years of like serious critical thinking and research before I felt incredibly comfortable like being like, nah. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I've developed a strong enough argument that like I can wager eternity on like the information that's available in this reality rather than delving it in faith and
So Nate asks, how much of a help has the ex-Mormon subreddit been for you transitioning out?
Fucking very helpful.
Yeah. By the time I discovered it, I was basically out. But I had that feeling of like, I'm the only one that feels this. Like, am I not getting something? Like, what is... Because, growing up in Utah, everyone around me was religious. So, you're one of the very few who aren't. And here in Utah, it's the two extremes, basically. It's either you're very religious or you're out and you're doing a bunch of super shady stuff. Like,
yeah,
there's
you're trying
no...
to figure yourself out.
Yeah.
Constantly being criticized and judged by like half of the population in this country leads you to be just kind of
Feel very
puts you in a
lost.
low point.
Yeah.
And if you don't have like the critical thinking, so it's either you don't have the critical thinking and you're in the church, or you don't have the critical thinking and you're out of it and you're just like just a lost sheep. According to these people, it can become really problematic. I think now, however, Salt Lake City Mormons are the minority. I think we've like surpassed them. But
Cold game.
I don't know. I feel like it's pretty 50-50. But
I feel like
it's
it's
well on its way from what it
think
was.
it's
It's
60-40
on
now.
its way.
Yeah.
Salt
I
Lake
wouldn't
City
be surprised
specifically.
if
The
it
rest of the
was.
state, absolutely not. But I think Salt Lake City, it's about 60-40. They are the minority by like a pretty decent margin. But if you go down to like Utah County,
It's like 95-5.
yeah,
But yeah, that subreddit was super helpful. It was a really nice affirmation for all of the feelings that I had. It made me feel justified in leaving and having the questions that I did, and like it just made me feel normal, I guess,
Like you
which
weren't
is
alone?
really fucked
Oh,
to
yeah.
say. That I don't know.
Thomas brings in some numbers, 50.7, so slightly.
Damn.
Majority.
Damn.
So we're barely over, but
I was gonna say it really does feel like living in a video game of sorts, or like just the dichotomy is so rigid. It's like there's a fucking empire, the imperialists, and then like there's the fucking the rebellion, dude. Like it's very distinct communities, very distinct polarizing things to identify with. Fucking is weird, dude. You go outside, you're like, wait, are you on my team or you're on the other people's team? Like it's very rigid here.
Yeah.
yeah, very much so. I think we've gotten a little off topic for the subject at hand, but I
Just
mean,
a
I
little
feel like
bit.
that's always going to happen.
Yeah.
These guys, we're always going to delve back into Mormonism for like an hour.
Always.
Yeah. Could I maybe talk about chiropractic practices with babies for a second?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
It's so fucking funny, dude. What do you guys know at face value? Spencer, what did you pick up? from
So
chiropractic?
I've done a lot of research on D.D. Palmer, Daniel David Palmer, who again abbreviates D.D. because same thing with the D. Young, D abbreviated can almost make you look like a doctor. D.D. Palmer almost makes you look like a doctor. Dude threw a fucking deaf dude on a garbage can. And it
You're what?
so the claim behind chiropractics was back in, I think it was 1899. Daniel Palmer met a dude who was either partially deaf or deaf. He claims to be, at least. There's not a lot of information corroborating the story, but he basically had him lay on a garbage can and like popped his fucking back, and then ran into him a week later and said that he could hear. But one, I can't see how like you can get consent to do that on a deaf person. So as far as I'm concerned, he just fucking threw this dude on a garbage can after hearing he was deaf and his back hurt. So, I don't know.
And that's
then,
where chiropractic was born.
yeah, that's what chiropractics were created. Is this dude threw a fucking deaf dude on a garbage can and then he claimed he could hear.
Here
And
again.
there's the initial claims were that this man was a magnetic healer before he founded like the school of chiropractics, and that everything and anything your body needs, it already has, and that with something like a spinal alignment, basically you can perfect your immune system. You've got like pancreatic problems, you can realignment will fix it. Like anything has a claim to be resolved with chiropractics. And throughout the time that these claims were like coming forward, they were heavily disputed by what's the term? I don't have my notes in front of me anymore, but genuine like spinal surgeons, basically osteopaths, I believe is what it was. And so they were associated as a pseudoscience cult. Palmer and the like 7 students he had at the time were considered a cult by the scientific community and like ostracized. But then to this day, these claims still persist, and half of all chiropractics, like at least half of them, which is problematic, will give you some other kind of claim that it's not just going to help your back. It doesn't just relieve back pain. They're going to either provide, and again, this is where the 50% comes in, is that they're providing alternative means besides that. They're generally selling some supplement that they're either paid by supplement companies to promote, or they've made them themselves. That's half of them. Half of all of any chiropractics are utilizing that business model, and that's problematic because supplements are not regulated by the FDA. Just period. So that's a majority of the research that I've done. So you can get into the baby manipulation. Because...
That's funny. That's honestly really good feedback. The fact that it started wacky in the first place is interesting. I honestly want to advocate just a little bit. I truly believe in yoga. I really think that the body does regulate itself, and if you can help it regulate, you can get really minor benefits, like colds will process through you faster if you're mindful about them. That's been proven. And also the big thing is placebo. It comes back to placebo. If you convince yourself it's going to work, then 40% of the time it's
if you're mindful of the problems that you're having, the disease you're having, you're at least mindful of it, and you're taking the precautionary steps to try to fix it. And whether or not the steps that you're actually taking are actually fixing it can lead people down these claims that like, well, I went and got an adjustment, now my cold's gone.
Yeah, right. for sure. And what's crazy though is like what emerges from this. Like those are pretty basic claims, and like as long as nobody's getting hurt, then I guess it's fine. Like you get a little bit of stretch, you pay some guy $200 when he doesn't really deserve it. It's not like the worst thing, but fucking when it comes to chiropractic practices for babies, that shit is gnarly, dude. Holy fuck, there's so many accounts of chiropractics breaking babies' necks, dude. Holy shit, dude. I'm reading like 4 or 5 articles right now.
Christ.
Yeah, fucking so fucking everyone's got to flex, dude. Everyone's got to stretch, and don't you know, your baby is rigid. Your baby is fucking sore. You gotta stretch his little legs out. You got oh shit, dude. Dude, this is like I've never felt more uncomfortable putting effort into research of anything. Because people are like throwing babies around, dude. Oh
Grabbing them
god.
by the limbs and
Like
swinging them around. Like,
swinging out
yeah.
a fucking rat like a rug.
Yeah, it's not good, dude. It's really, really not good. And there's no evidence. I haven't been able to find any systematic, scientifically approached systematic experiments that have emerged any kind of evidence for this. And I've only seen anecdotal experiences, people talking about how their babies are latching on for breastfeeding much better now that they are flexing their jaws and their mouths and stuff. Very interested. What do you think about that? Should people be throwing babies around so that they can breastfeed better? Is that a good enough reason?
fuck no.
Not at all.
Fuck no.
Like, you weren't
Alright.
thrown around as a child and you grew up just fine.
Yeah.
Why
I
the
think
fuck are
so.
you gonna throw your baby around? Like,
Yeah.
I need to
believe
stretch my baby. Like, just grab its arms and pull. Like, oh yeah, that
It was
nice and limber, ready to just
Nice.
lay down and do nothing all day.
Be back.
It was either the ACA, which is the American Chiropractic Association, or the National Board of Chiropractics, made claims that, again, spinal alignment can increase your immunity, and so much so that you are not required as a. That's why they're doing this for babies, right? Is that they won't necessarily be. Their immunity is going to be so like benefited from this that like they won't need vaccinations. And that is where it really becomes problematic, is when like
Yeah.
chiropractic associations organizations are making these claims that children don't need to be vaccinated based on these alignments that they're giving babies.
Yeah. I didn't hear about that. That's a crazy claim.
Yeah.
Did you see any other claims of what they would do? Because the only thing I heard was anecdotal stuff about breastfeeding. One thing about an underbite, fucking parents jamming their child's jaw back in place so they don't have to have an underbite. Like, that's pretty fucked up. But I didn't hear anyone claim that they didn't have to be vaccinated.
Yeah. No, I think that was the ACA.
That's fucked up,
That
dude.
when these things were being, when they really started to pick up. So they won't make outright medical claims. Again, that's the same thing that like Young Living does. They're not going to like outright come forward and make claims of like this is going to cure your whatever. They're going to be like, oh, you know, it helps you sleep better, it helps you feel whatever, because that would be malpractice. It's illegal. But it's not going to stop a lot of these people. A lot of these people delve into more ridiculous practices. These people are doubling down on the crazy side. Science science diverts its views based on what's observed, and they're unwilling to change their practices based on like these 100-year-old ideas. This, mind you, these claims were made before lobotomies were even an idea, before we knew for a fact like shock therapy and lobotomies didn't work and that they were like incredibly dangerous. And we've changed the medical process to divert away from these claims rather than doubling down on the crazy shit like chiropractics have done. The only reason that they still exist is by a lot of lobbying and money that these people had. In the 70s, chiropractors lobbied super hard to be recognized almost as like a medical, like legitimate medical thing. And that is why to this day, insurance companies will still cover chiropractic adjustments. It isn't because they're like actually good and that therefore they're going to be recognized. It's because of lobbying back in the 70s that persisted through this day.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. And then cut to babies getting fucking their necks broken. God damn it, dude.
And the claim is that like one of the claims that they're trying to make is one of the reasons that these things persist so heavily is that if these people can take all of your medical needs, if all of your medical needs can be diverted away from practitioners that are like utilizing this medicine, because if you go to a osteopath and you have like a back problem and you're trying to correlate it with pancreatic problems, right? They're going to divert you to the correct medical field are going to divert you to another doctor. A chiropractor will not do that. They will tell you that this alignment will fix that. It's going to make an adjustment and fix your fucking health. All of your problems can be solved with alignments. Again, half of all chiropractors are in that mindset. A lot of them are trying to change. They're trying to be medical, basically stating that like because there are benefits for having some alignments, but it's mostly, in fact, it's pretty much all lower back pain specifically. There's almost no other research done into this substantiating claims, no clinical trials stating that there's any correlation in any other field that chiropractics will benefit you other than lower back pain. So don't take your fucking baby to a chiropractor.
Yeah, fucking
Get him
don't.
vaccinated. Holy shit.
Learn how to have self-regulating fucking mechanisms. Like, you don't need a chiropractor yourself. All you need to do is get a yoga mat, fucking stretch.
Yeah.
Or just get a muscle relaxer prescription.
Physical
Take pills.
therapists are recognized by the scientific community. And your doctor will recommend a physical therapist if you are having problems, if you have like separation from like in certain joints, or like your muscles aren't connecting to your bones properly. Seek physical therapy. Don't go to, if your fucking rib's broken, don't go to get an alignment, because that's not gonna help. It's gonna make it worse.
All right,
See a
John,
doctor.
what else you got on this?
I honestly jumped the gun, dude. These 4 fucking articles about breaking kids' necks is crazy. That's basically it. I don't have any other statistics, any other anecdotes. Just
Babies are
fucked
soft.
up. Babies are soft. Don't fucking throw them around. And anyone who tells you to do it is fucking
Don't
crazy
pull
person.
on them. Don't move them too. Just leave the baby on the fucking ground. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be
Just take it a bottle occasionally. Maybe give it a blanket. It'll be fine. Just don't have kids. How about that?
Yeah. Do that.
If we
I
don't
vote
have
we
kids, we can pretty much utilize all of this planet's natural resources, and we don't have to worry about the consequences.
if we all stop having kids, we could just have the world's greatest party until we all die.
So what Thomas pointed out, that conversion therapy is that shock therapy that we've talked about a couple times.
Okay, yeah. That's still in practice, but only
Yeah.
for adults now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was only like a year or two ago. Was that what you guys found?
It was like 4 months ago, wasn't it?
I want to say it was like November of this year, but it might have been
2018.
yeah.
Either way, way too fucking late. Why is the church always so late on adjusting its views? Like, black people couldn't have priesthood until like 76, way after they were recognized as people, or segregation was no longer a thing. Way too late. And then shock therapy on minors only just went. It's only just been removed and can still be practiced on adults for conversion therapy. It's fucking nuts.
Let's see
It's
if I
really
can
stupid.
find the. Okay, no,
Backwards
it
alternative.
was last month. The government banned conversion therapy for all minors in December of 2019. Adult
That's so
conversion
fucking
therapy is
crazy.
only deemed illegal if consent was given due to a lack of willpower.
We knew this back in like what, the 60s? Like science adjusted its views around lobotomy and shock therapy in like the 60s after the huge spur of like mental institutions throughout like the 50s and 40s, or like the 20s to the 50s, where everyone was getting lobotomized. We've known this shit for a long time, and the church is only now just recognizing it. It's so fucking stupid. Pseudoscience it always seems to have some kind of correlation with like religion or cults.
There
'Cause
are
people are impressionable.
18 states who have banned conversion therapy altogether.
Only 18?
Yeah.
That means it's fucking
So it's
still in
New
practice.
Jersey,
Right.
California, Oregon, Illinois, Vermont, New Mexico, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Nevada, Washington, Hawaii, Delaware, Maryland, New Hampshire, New York, Massachusetts, Colorado, and Maine.
A little surprised to see New Mexico on that list.
Yeah, if New Mexico's doing it before the rest of you, like, you're fucking up.
Yeah, Jesus.
Fucking Anyone have any results on fucking conversion therapy going poorly? I'm gonna check it out.
I do.
Yeah, check.
You ever watch season 2 of?
Like
What was that
almost
sector?
firsthand. I guess it's secondhand.
Yeah, I was gonna say
accounts
you're
of
like a
this.
degree away from someone who's been intentionally doing conversion therapy, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
that's
So, not naming any names. Someone I know, their sibling went through conversion therapy. It was supposed to help treat depression and anxiety, like all borderline schizophrenia and multiple personality disorders. There was a claim that could help. So they went and did it just last year. They came out of there pretty brain dead. Like, just really slow, hard, like almost hard on hearing. You'd have to repeat what you were saying to them multiple times. They were really slow on their responses or even their understanding of what you were saying to them. And it took like 3 weeks for them to get back to normal. Like,
Oh fuck.
back to what they were prior to going in. And guess what? It didn't fucking solve anything. Who would have guessed?
Yeah. If you fucking take away their ability to tell you that there's something wrong, you fixed it. Like, that's
Yeah.
the
You
idea
fixed
behind
it.
this. If you just make somebody so fucking brain dead that like they can't comprehend or express outwards that they're depressed or having problematic thoughts, well, I guess they're good. I guess, according to these means that aren't going to be they're not utilizing like MRIs or like scientific means to like scan your brain, CAT scans.
Yeah, they're not
They're
monitoring.
just gonna fucking based on
vitals.
like what you're telling them, and if you can't comprehend or tell them that you're having these thoughts, guess you're good.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can. Fucking Thomas said you can get it's still in practice at the threat of expulsion sometimes. People who fucking who are gay, who are going to BYU, who are queer, are fucking getting shocked, dude, because this fucking school is an extension of this cult. You can't be-
Yeah.
That's a
Recognized university.
huge fucking issue.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the fact that is happening and like
There's no
where-
very, very little coverage about it happening.
Yeah.
yeah, what the
This
fuck,
school
dude?
is recognized as an institute by the Department of Education.
And they're
That's
forcing these
ridiculous.
people to undergo medical procedures or they get expelled.
The guidelines that you have to meet to go to this school, because it's like a private school. Like, I think most religious schools shouldn't necessarily be recognized as credible institutes. It's ridiculous, but especially not BYU, Brigham Young University. This dude, fuck.
That's a whole
dumping
other
concentrated
episode.
oil up his ass to try to cure his colon problems.
Yeah, that's only a little bit fucked up that's happening and no one's talking about it.
Yeah.
Because like had that been any other school, and they're trying to make these people go or undergo these procedures to quote unquote cure them, or they get expelled, that school would be shut down and lose all of its funding.
Yeah,
You
what
can't
the
go to
that
fuck?
school with a beard. Like, do you know
You can't have
You
a
can't
beard.
have facial hair. Period. Actually, I think you can
Yeah.
have a mustache now, but it has
But,
to be
like,
very well groomed.
But like, what
That's
kind of
pedophile.
what
Like,
scientific article can you like provide to me stating that like I am a less productive citizen, or like
It's
I
not
should be
that
recognized as
they
a
want
student? Like,
they want everyone to look the same. They
Yeah.
want everyone to look uniform and neat and clean, and according to them, facial hair is not neat or clean. Even though
Yeah.
every one of their fucking founders had facial hair.
yeah, Brigham
Fucking
Young had a
long
big
hair,
ass
too.
beard. I
yeah,
should have a big ass beard. I should be forced to have a big ass beard.
Right?
you gotta look like Brigham Young or get the fuck out. Guys, let's talk about Gwyneth Paltrow, man. Let's talk about
Oh, goop.
shoving crystals up your fucking cooter.
Okay. Did you see that she just released a candle that is scented like her vagina?
No
yeah. Where do I
way.
buy
dude.
That
She-
the candle was "This smells like my vagina."
oh my god, she's gotta be a troll, dude. Do you really
So
think she's real? or
The
what's
Rock, Dwayne Johnson, responded and said, "I want to release a candle that smells like my balls." I fucking love it, and I hope that was ironically that he said that. And I hope he's not serious.
Yeah, it sounds
I
like
don't
he's
think
like,
that's real. I mean, I don't think he's serious on that. That's awesome.
I'd hope. Because I want to believe that's him just being funny. And if that's the case, that's fucking great. Now, if he's serious, then I worry.
This person's on the verge of basically being a cult leader, even if it's accidental, because like the people that they have like under them and the people that are like buying these products are just buying into whatever, and they're not listening to critical thought.
I mean, like, she had a whole convention about her shit that she's selling. I feel like she's a cult. Like, let's gather up anyone who's interested. We'll sell you all of our shit at asinine prices. Like, what was that like muscle massager that she had?
Oh, the
The little vibrating one that,
massage gun.
yeah, $600. You can go to Walmart and pick one up for like 40,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing, but
Yeah.
hers works better because goop. She had
She's-
scientists test it.
She's like made posts about like, oh, her morning routine consists of alkaline water with a squeeze of lemon juice, which immediately makes it no longer alkaline. So she has no fucking clue what she's talking about. And I want to delve into this a little bit, because this is what I was talking about earlier, and how easy it is to fall under like these claims that are like you don't necessarily have reason to question it, because it's just like common knowledge, right? Vitamin C specifically, you'd think of like when it's like, oh, I need to like, I'm getting a cold, I need to like take Emergency or Airborne or like some kind of supplement, right? Drink some orange juice, get some vitamin C in me to fight off this disease, or even prevent it. If you're showing early signs, it's something that you do, right? There has never been a clinical trial supporting those claims. There is no evidence stating that vitamin C can help you fight off sickness or even boost your immunity.
It's the correlation of it strengthening your immune system.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to help you fight it off. Like, oh, if you take vitamin C, then it strengthens it, even though it's already weakened and in the middle of this battle. Like,
Yeah.
at that
Even
point,
if
it
you're
doesn't really do
regularly-
anything.
If you're regularly taking that shit, like, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
There was I think it was $1 million lawsuit with, I think it was Airborne. Airborne was the one that was made by that teacher, right? And they lost because they were making claims that it was going to fight off disease, and those claims are not substantiated by anything. Supplements are not regulated by the FDA. I want to double down on that, because
So the company I used to work for, we installed conveyors at Reckitt Benckiser, the parent company of all of these supplemental companies, or supplement companies. So they did Airborne, they did all these crazy fish oils, they did, I think they also had Emergency. I think both of those are owned by the same company. And
so Airborne was not a $1 million lawsuit. It was a $23.3 million settlement over false advertisement claims. That's a lot more than Young Living lost.
yeah.
Jesus.
Well, should we jump into Dianetics?
yeah, let's hear about Dynex, dude.
Hell yeah.
So those of you who don't know, Dianetics is what Dianetics basically turned into Scientology. It was an article. It originally started as an article published by L. Ron Hubbard. So their description from their website. This is word for word from their website. It says, the reactive mind does not store memories as we know them. It stores particular types of mental image pictures called engrams. Engrams are a complete recording down to the last accurate detail of every perception present in a moment of partial or full unconsciousness.
They're also the items you get in Destiny, and that's how you get like rare, like exotic engrams, because they're just like the coding of like this weapon. They're able to be decoded because it's just a ball of information and energy, right? That's that's real.
That's what
Destiny told you?
they're saying. Your memories are
Oh,
engrams. So it continues. Unconsciousness could be caused by the shock of an accident, anesthetic used for an operation, the pain of an injury, or the delirium of illness. During these times, the analytical mind shuts down in full or in part, and the reactive mind cuts in full or in part. The engram exists below the individual's awareness level, yet it can be activated so as to enforce its content and can cause unevaluated, unknowing, and unwanted fears. fears, emotions, pains, and psychosomatic illnesses. In Dianetics procedure, the individual recounts an incident of unconsciousness from beginning to end until the engram is reduced, which means all the charge or pain is taken out of the incident or erased, which means that the incident has vanished forever. In either case, the individual is free of the effect. Sorry, I lost my place. The individual is free of the effect of the incident and the experience enormous. Dude, reading is not my strong suit right now.
We should
feel
start
like
a
you-
podcast when none of us can fucking read or talk.
All right. So in
Vocabulary
either
is
case,
like-
the individual is free of the effect of the incident and can experience enormous relief and the rise in emotional tone. That is the miracle of Dianetics.
Miracle.
What the fuck?
Yeah, again, claims should be substantiated. They should be proven. Go through the gauntlet of the scientific method. But no, instead, let's just like make a bunch of shit up and start a cult. Because
Way
fuck yeah,
easier,
money. Don't have to
way
pay
more
taxes.
profitable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first publication of Dianetics was Dianetics, The Evolution of Science, an article by L. Ron Hubbard in Astounding Science Fiction.
L. Ron Hubbard being the founder of Scientology.
That's not ironic.
No.
Yeah.
Posted in a science fiction magazine. That was followed by a book, Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, published on May 9th, 1950. In these works, Hubbard claimed the source of all psychological pain and therefore the cause of mental and physical health problems was a form of memory known as engrams. According to Hubbard, individuals could reach a state named clear, in which a person was freed of these engrams. This would be done by taking or talking with an auditor. Ooh,
Just pull the shit out of your brain so you're no longer suffering.
yeah,
All your
basically.
problems come from
Um,
past traumas.
So in this book, Hubbard describes the techniques that he suggests can rid individuals of fears and psychosomatic illnesses. A basic idea in Dianetics is that the mind consists of two parts, the analytical mind and the reactive mind. The reactive mind, the mind which operates when a person is physically unconscious, acts as a record of shock, trauma, pain, and otherwise harmful memories. Experiences such as these stored in the reactive mind were the engrams. Dianetics is proposed as a method to erase these engrams in the reactive mind to achieve a state of clear. So,
My mind is full of engrams. Remove them.
Hubbard described Dianetics as an organized science of thought built on definite axioms. Statements of natural laws on the order of those of the physical sciences.
Let's throw a bunch of buzzwords out there and sound smart and like,
Right? That's all Dianetics is.
yeah, just a bunch of fucking. Ooh,
So, how this works. The procedures of Dianetics therapy, known as auditing, is a two-person activity. One person, the auditor, guides the person, the pre-clear. The pre-clear's job is to look at the mind and talk to the auditor. The auditor acknowledges what the pre-clear says and controls the process so the pre-clear may put his full attention on his work. The auditor and pre-clear sit down in chairs facing each other. The process then follows in 11 distinct steps. Number 1, the auditor assures the pre-clear that he will be fully aware of everything that happens during the session. Number 2, the pre-clear is instructed to close his eyes for the session, entering the state of Dianetic reverie, signified by a tremble of the lashes. During the session, the pre-clear remains in full possession of his will and retains full recall thereafter. So, like, your eyes flicker and you're like, there you go. Now you're ready.
oh, jeez. Oh, I'm healthy.
Step 3. The auditor installs a canceller, an instruction intended to absolutely cancel any form of positive suggestion that could accidentally occur. This is done by saying, in the future, when I utter the word canceled, everything I have said while you were in the therapy session will be canceled and will have no forces with you. Any suggestion I may have made, you will be without force when I say the word canceled. Do you understand?
Scientology's canceled.
It's gone. The auditor then asks the pre-clear to locate an exact record of something that happened to the pre-clear. Locate an incident that you feel you can comfortably face. That's step 4. Step 5, the pre-clear is invited by the auditor to go through the incident and say what is happening as you go along. Step 6, the auditor instructs the pre-clear to recall as much as possible of the incident, going over it several times until the pre-clear is cheerful about it. Step 7, when the pre-clear is cheerful about the incident, the auditor instructs the pre-clear to locate another incident. For example, let's find another incident that you will feel you can comfortably face. The process outlined at steps 5 and 6 then repeat until the auditing session's time limit, usually 2 hours or so, is reached. Yeah, these were done in sessions that cost upwards of $500 to $1,000 per session.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And you needed to hit, or you needed to go through these in order to hit the next level of Scientology. So these were mandatory.
Why this works until you go through several sessions, and then once you're going through these several sessions, you could like reach the next level of like truth and enlightenment.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So
like, this is like their indoctrination. Like if you slow feeding like this like bit of information until you're invested.
yeah.
And then eventually you'll get the crazier shit, and then the crazier shit, until you're just in. Until you're fucking just...
Until you're too deep to know better. So, step 8, the auditor...
$10,000, I can't back out now.
For real, though. Step 8 was the auditor checks to make sure that the pre-clear feels himself to be in... step 8. I skipped a step because I lost place. Again. Step 8, the pre-clear is then instructed to return to present time. Step 9, the auditor checks to make sure that the pre-clear feels himself to be in present time and not recalling the past incident. Step 10, the auditor gives the pre-clear the canceller word, very good, canceled. And then 11, the auditor tells the pre-clear to feel alert and return to full awareness of his surroundings. And this is when he'd usually say, when I count from 5 to 1 and snap my fingers, you will feel alert. And then he'll count down and snap. And that's the end of the session.
Cheap version of hypnosis that's not actually like...
Yeah.
Putting people under.
So, here is the scientific reviews of Dianetics.
Bullshit. It's fucking dumb.
So it says, Hubbard's original book on Dianetics attracted highly critical reviews from science and medical writers and organizations. The American Psychological Association passed a resolution in 1950 calling, quote-unquote, attention to the fact that these claims are not supported by empirical evidence of the sort required for the establishment of scientific generalizations. Subsequently, Dianetics has achieved no acceptance as a scientific theory. Who would have guessed? Professor John A. Lee states in his 1970 evaluation of Dianetics, objective experimental verifications of Hubbard's physiological and psychological doctrines is lacking. To date, no regular scientific agency has established the validity of his theories or prenatal perception, the engrams or cellular memory or Dianetic reverie, or the effects of Scientology auditing routines. Existing knowledge contradicts Hubbard's theory of recording of perceptions during his periods of unconsciousness. Therefore, pseudoscience. That is word for word from what he said. And there's another quote from a scientist basically saying the same thing. What Hubbard touts as a scientific as a science of mind lacks one key element that is expected of science: empirical testing of claims. The key elements of Hubbard's so-called science don't seem testable, yet he repeatedly claims that he is asserting only scientific facts and data from many experiments, and it isn't even clear what such data would look like. Most of this data is in the form of anecdotes and speculations. Such speculations is appropriate in fiction, but not in science. And that was from Professor Robert Carroll. It's just all bullshit. None of it can be found in any, or can be grounded in any form of science. It's,
Yeah.
hey, pay me a bunch of money and I'll take all these bad memories from you.
And it lays the groundwork, because this is older, for other people to like, oh, this is making money. Like, let me see what I can do with this or that, or like, because there was a big boom in like the 60s and 70s to like break away from like the mainstream, like mainstream medicine, or like start communes or whatever. And that's where a lot of like cults really started to like find their fucking place in society, is alternative means of like medicine. That's where a lot of these people break away from societal means and like try to make these little whatever, we're doing our own thing over here. And it still like exists. Like there's still that like want and desire to like break away from like traditional means of medicine. And that's why like Gwyneth Paltrow, like we're referring to, has goop in like Young Living and homeopathic treatments. And there's a lot of foundation.
A lot of this comes back to the conspiracy now that we're withholding cures for everything.
Which I believe.
I'm on the fence about that one. But there's a lot that, you know, everyone's like, oh, our government knows how to cure everything. They're just withholding it.
The thing is,
so everyone's claiming like, oh, these oils, this has been proven. It's like, but how? Someone
using them for thousands of years.
Someone took this oil and didn't feel sick anymore, and that means they're cured?
Yeah, a bunch of anecdotal shit. And the problem with anecdotal evidence, when they're like substantiated, like again, because if we've been using them for thousands of years, doesn't necessarily mean that they still work. Science changes its views again based on observation, based on the method at hand. It's the best system we've come up with to determine what is and isn't truth. And we used to practice a lot of fucking shit. Like people were, what was the one? Alchemy. It's trying to cause like immortality, right? The fundamental goal of alchemy is immortality.
That's correct.
Shooting gold up your dick or something.
That's eccentric.
Yeah.
Alchemy originally was just magic, but yeah.
And again, like lobotomies and things and practices that alternative means. Alternative medicine, by definition, is medicine that has yet to be proven to work. Because if it were proven to work, it would be medicine. If it's gone through the gauntlet, if you remove the anecdotal evidence, it should be working one way or the other. It should be treated as medicine. We use medicine that has natural resources, pulling oils and shit from plants, and we utilize, like, I think not Excedrin. What's the one? Justin, if you're in here, you know the fucking song. It's Tim Minchin.
He's not.
I don't think he's not, bitch.
Yeah, he's working right now. I'm pretty sure. Works
yeah, so you can, like,
I know exactly what you're talking about, though. I just don't know that.
I don't know the fucking medicine, but it's pulled from tree bark from willow trees. It's like not aspirin. There you go. Thank you. Aspirin it's all natural, or it's partially natural to some extent. And the idea is that we're trying to break away from chemicals. Like, chemicals are bad. Everything is a fucking chemical, except for energy. Literally everything that has an atom, everything that has a molecular makeup is a chemical. But these are buzzwords that are used by these people to make it seem like they're bad or harmful. People get really vague when it comes down to it, and it creates a lot of subsects of people that
have
mindsets, and they're impressionable people that are easily pulled into cult-like behavior.
Yeah. But what's interesting too is aspirin is actually really problematic for health.
It can-
It's taken really
Yeah.
high doses.
And
It's
it's
fucked up a bunch of kids.
well, exactly. Anything is the dosage is the poison,
Yeah.
and that's the problem with any of these means. You should not ingest essential oils. It can become toxic. Anything can be. You can't drink too much water. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
The sun will kill you. Yeah. What's up?
blows my mind is everyone claiming that anything natural is good for you. It's like
Gwyneth
everything
Paltrow.
that is on this earth is quote unquote natural, a combination of natural elements.
Let's jump into like David
So-
Wolf. David Wolf has like 3 million likes on Facebook. I
Oh,
think.
that man,
Upwards of that.
that man's a
Dude.
cult leader.
Fucking yeah, and he's batshit insane. He's
Like,
referred
what was
to,
that one
like,
video you showed me saying that chocolate is from the sun?
Chocolate is
Its
like a form
its
of,
energy waves are the same as the sun. So
Yeah,
like,
it's like
chocolate's
something
good
with the
for
sun.
you and it has healing properties and
yeah.
what
dude
the
is a
fuck?
fucking whack job. That dude's out there. He's
It's eccentric
but
for sure.
but like
Yeah, 3 million people follow this man on Facebook and agree with him, obviously.
look up
3 billion?
Million.
Serious?
3
Oh,
Three
okay, I was gonna
million.
say, no.
3 million
no
is
way.
still
He's
a
the most
problematic
famous person
number.
in the world. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And if you
It's true.
Google the dude, I guarantee if you have a large amount of friends, no, it's 12 million. It's fucking 12 million. I was way off.
Okay, 12 million.
Good.
If you go to his page, you're damn near guaranteed to find somebody on your Facebook friend list that follows this dude. And holy shit, he's anti-vax, anti-traditional means of medicine. He's all about avocados. They're superfood. His middle name apparently is Avocado. It's David Avocado Wolf.
Of course
Dude,
it
That's how it
is.
started.
Fucking nut job. And he's absolutely on the brink of being a cult leader. I want to delve into a little bit on homeopathic methods because it's again another form of pseudoscience not recognized by the scientific method. Claim breaks down to this claim that was made back in like the 80s, I think, 88. Jaquez Benitz something, claiming that water has memory, therefore like you can subject these like molecules under different like pretenses and cure all sorts of diseases and issues with literally water by literally just energy
Just
treatment,
a little bit
basically,
of
what it comes
conversion
down to.
therapy on that water and it'll cure anything.
Yeah, giving people literal placebos, and it can't be recognized as anything other than that because it's like sugar tablets and water, and that water's got the right kind of energy and vibes to cure whatever the fuck it is that you've got. And
Dude, honestly, I think you could show a correlation with drinking water as to something that helps you. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
water is good for you.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Like, but
yes.
everybody buy it now. Like, try
but
water
at the end of the
today.
day, like, so I just watched Frozen 2, and I was so annoyed the whole time because damn near the foundation of like this movie is that water has memory. And, like Olaf's spouting this shit. He spouts like another like 6 claims that like guess what? Only one of them was actually substantiated by real fucking science. And I'm not sure if that was intentional. If you're supposed to go away from this thinking like, oh yeah, like look into these other things.
I mean,
oh, it's bullshit. Oh, it's
it's
bullshit.
a child's cartoon, so no. I think it's you just
But-
overanalyzing a cartoon
The
meant
problem
for
is
children.
when you provide nonsense to children under the precursors that like, oh, these are facts.
Okay, I watched Osmosis Jones. I don't think there's little fucking people living inside of me. Like,
I don't know.
that's the
Bring it
shit
up
we
with
grew up
points,
with, and
though.
I'm not like,
But
oh,
I'm
there's
sure people
a little
are.
guy. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think you can extrapolate from a children's movie. I don't think you.
Watch the
I think
movie.
you're
It
looking
presents this
into
shit
it.
as-
Okay,
Maybe,
but
maybe
again,
I am.
it's a cartoon, and if that kid can't differentiate cartoon from real life, they've got other problems they need to be
Well, the
worrying
problem
about.
is that these people's parents still think this shit. They still walk away.
Your
I know
parents
so
think
many
that
people-
because you went and saw that, so your parents are guilty of it.
I remember watching this documentary. Big fucking quotes. Let me Google it. I'm sure I could find it. I don't remember the name.
Well, Thomas says that I do have little people living inside of me, so I'm obligated to believe it because he is a doctor.
You got
The
little
memory of
homies,
water, I
little
think is
homies
what it's
inside
called.
you.
I got
Um,
little guys in there fighting off all the bad guys.
I think the
what's up.
documentary was The Memory of Water. It was something else. It was big back in like the mid 2000s, I want to say.
Oh, they better not be giving conversion therapy in my body.
And I know most of the people in my family watched this and walked away from it being like, wow, that was really interesting and insightful. That like people subjected 2 sets of water. They were providing like they were putting some in light and good vibes. They're talking around it, very positive vibes or whatever. And then the other water, there it was like really harsh energy and like blah blah blah. And then they froze the molecules and they found that like the molecules that had like the positive vibes froze in a very like beautiful crystal structure and then under a microscope, and then the ones that was like subjected to like bad vibes, when it was frozen it was like ugly, bubbly and gross and whatever. Therefore it has memory, was able to retain the information that was provided, even though that like we recycle all our water and shit in it all day and then we drink it later and like it just seems to not remember
Yeah.
that. It's fine.
I got a question for you. Do you think about the world in terms of vibrations, waves, and energy? Is that something that you have in your reality tunnel? Is that something that you practice or
So
believe in?
it depends, because I
Makes
don't
sense.
believe that like the concept of like an aura, like everybody has like an aura. I don't abide by that. I think that like you
Well,
can.
do you agree with like a magnetic field? Because everything has a torrential magnetic field.
Well, yeah,
Everything
everything
that's
has a magnetic field. When
I would say
people
that's
break
the
down
aura.
energy, it gets complicated because
Okay.
energy exists. Energy is a measurable thing that we can determine is real. The only problem is that people associate those energies with like vibes and like a way of being, like positive or negative. Good and bad is subjective. And like there are people out there that claim to be like aura readers. They claim to be able to like sense your aura and they can fix you by like readjusting it. They're basically chiropractors but for your
Reiki
your
masters.
spirit. Yeah, exactly.
Mel's
And they'll
dad.
go around you and they'll just like not even touch you. And then you just sit there in silence and they're just like doing this around you for an hour.
That's
Charge you
Have you
hundreds of dollars.
guys had Reiki though? This is unfortunate because I don't think we see eye to eye on this. I've had Reiki a couple times. Hands down, some of the most explosive psychedelic experiences I've ever had in my life. I'm like completely sober, very very unexplainable psychedelic experiences. But
see.
I did want. What's up?
I
What's
want
up?
to say that's placebo,
Yeah, it probably
Yeah.
is. Probably is. But also like consider.
but that's fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. I do, however, subscribe to serotonin feedback regulation and that being pivotal to like your spine. That's why I think yoga has benefits for cerebral benefits. I think when you erect your spine, when you practice with that, you get a little bit more serotonin feedback. That's where that's coming from. That being said, I did want to bring up one last thing and then let you go back on talking about this. I fucking the first time I ever heard my brother entertain anything that is considered fringe, because a lot of this is considered fringe. Fucking talking about auras, talking about like energy and vibes and shit. I'm on the fence. I'm still learning. I'm still like getting a relationship with it. My brother's trying to tell me that cats' purrs resonate at a frequency between 50 and 140 hertz, which has been scientifically proven to help heal wounds and broken bones.
In cats, yeah.
Apparently, those
I don't think
frequencies.
putting a bunch of cats around me would necessarily heal my broken bones.
Yeah,
But yeah, cats are more likely to survive falls of like 100 plus feet than a dog would, because its ability to like, because purring will like heal its bones and shit.
is that what you think,
That's, that,
Mom?
well, no, there's like actual studies stating that like a cat is more likely to survive a fall of great height than a dog would.
Because of purring?
Because of purring. And a lot of it's because they're flexible and they're
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably
malleable, they're
anatomy.
squishy. If you pick up a cat, it's just gonna bend. It's a fucking liquid,
Yeah.
basically.
That makes sense. Well, in this situation, it's talking about using cats as healing people's bones. And the first time I heard this, I was like, that's the most pseudoscience shit I've ever fucking heard in my life. But then I cross applied it with what I'm coming to understand about vibration, coming to understand about energy. I believe in energy. I think some people have particular auras, and depending on what they're experiencing, they radiate particular things. I don't know. That being said, that's all I have to say about that. Thanks for letting me take a tangent.
So the auras, I think that, or in my opinion, auras are. It's the person's attitude. If
For sure.
it's what they project, their body language, the way they say things. It's all of that. I wouldn't say that they have like an aura. It's, you know, all of that shit makes up their quote unquote aura
Yeah.
in my opinion. And
Yeah.
calling it by that name, I think, is almost misleading.
Yeah, it's problematic.
It comes off as
Insane.
some like magic-esque shit, you know? Instead of being like, oh yeah, that dude was just an asshole. Like, it's not, oh, I was getting bad vibes from him. It's like, no, he just had really uptight body language and was
Yeah.
being an asshole the whole time.
Yeah.
That's
So-
that's those bad vibes.
Yeah,
There was,
that's what
I don't
do.
know if the James Randi Foundation specifically touched into this, but there have been studies on people that claim to like be able to read auras and sense it, whatever. They would put these people in like a chair, you know, these people making these claims, and they would have other people behind basically a curtain that is exactly as tall as they are. And if somebody was making the claims that could read aura rather than somebody's facial expressions and the way that they're coming across, that aura should be visible to that person outside of their body, right? And there's never been an instance where somebody that has been making these claims can be like, that's where they are because I can see their aura. And if these claims are substantiated, that should exist outside of that.
Yeah, for sure.
However, I swear it was the James Randi Educational Foundation, they held like $1 million award or bounty, and they had it up for decades, basically allowing anybody that could substantiate claims of paranormal activity, energy readings, something that was like fringe or outside, like, you know, magic, basically. They left this open for decades. I think they only just cut it out like 5 years ago. They just stopped. It was $1 million prize. Here it is. There's the wiki. $1 million prize for anybody that could go through basically proving that they could speak with the dead, that they could do faith healings, so many different things, homeopathy. Any of these things worked, and not a single person even was able to get past the preliminary round.
Yeah, that's pretty
These claims
incriminating.
cannot be substantiated, and it's $1 million reward, because I know that there's people out there that are not going to like, oh, I can't like use my powers of speaking to the dead for profit because then I would lose them, right? Even though that's what like, what's the word? People that claim to speak to the dead, psychics, mediums. These people are taking advantage of people that are in their grieving process for profit. That's all it is at the end of the day, and it's a disgusting practice, because whether or not these people know that what they're doing is real or not, because I think some of them have to know that it's not real, or some of them don't know. You don't know, but one way or the other, you're extorting people that are going through a grieving process, and that's
Fun fact, I'm a medium. Who's dead that you do want
Nice
to talk
dick.
to? I can
I want to talk to my grandma. Will you let me know what she thinks about me being a raging homosexual? Really quick.
she says, stop fucking worrying about what I think and live your life.
guess what,
Dude,
bitch? My grandma's
you're
still
a-
alive. Like,
I have $1 million
Oh,
for you, bro.
baited.
That's funny.
yeah, it's problematic. But anyways, back to energy readings and like, what was it? Waifu?
Reiki.
Reiki.
Wife, yeah.
Waifu?
Wi-Fi. I just, again, I don't think that if it were legitimate, it should be recognizable or measurable to some extent, other than like your own brain being able to perceive it, because we can replicate a human brain. We can put it under all sorts of means of like determining what's happening in your fucking brain and pinpoint where these lines are crossing and what you think you're seeing and what you're not. And we've yet to determine that things like that can be substantiated, that these energies exist. I think that, like, again, electricity exists. Currents run through our brains. These are measurable things, and we can put those currents under a microscope and determine what's happening. And that's not being exerted outwards. That energy, that like life force that people claim to have, it's not a measurable force. We can't like put somebody that's literally dying. People are dying in hospitals all the time, and like, what reason to think do we think, what reason do we have to substantiate that that energy is going anywhere, that it still exists outside of the fucking brain?
So
I think it's a neat idea. I would love to believe it, but I don't
I'm
see
not-
why we can like make those claims. Why we should put faith behind the claims that that is a thing that's happening.
Yeah, I totally hear that. Do you want to say something, Cody? Because I have something to say.
yeah, I want to make it clear we're not here to shame anyone for believing in this. We just want you to understand what's really happening. We don't want you to justify your shitty behaviors because of these energies and auras. You need to take accountability for that. And
Yeah.
also practice what you want. That's you.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
But understand what you're doing has consequences. Like
Yeah, for
everything.
sure.
So
For sure.
at least the least you could do is understand what it is that's happening when you do this.
Yeah.
Yes, it may
yeah,
not be
or-
legitimate, but the placebo effect is real. And if that's beneficial, by
Exactly.
all means, continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Again,
That's what I'm advocating, is being mindful about that. If you
specify in the beginning. Sorry to cut you off.
Very good. You good. You
Just
good.
specify in the beginning. It is really easy to fall behind like these ideals. We're touching on claims that are they exist for a reason, because anecdotal evidence exists, because the scientific method is complicated, and we've all believed in something at one point or another that wasn't substantiated. Like I was saying, that's why I'm delving into like vitamin C. This is shit that like more people than not think is substantiated by some form of evidence that like it's just true, because it's as legitimate as taking ibuprofen for a headache. It's easy to think this stuff. So no shame, no guilt. It's easy to fall for it. Everybody does.
Everybody does. Okay, so I want to read an article talking about the substantiation of Reiki, and I want to tear it apart or see what it has to say. Also, first off, have we already talked about the UCLA Health Organization today? Have
No.
we mentioned it all? Okay. I didn't want to go on if we already spoken about how this is like an irreputable site. Okay, so apparently there's a touchstone process, which is a peer review method for analyzing the current state of scientific studies on Reiki programs in hospitals, clinics, and hospice facilities throughout the United States. It's the first systematically controlled scientific process ever done, because there's a lot of controversy here around Reiki. We've already spoken about it. Says the most recent data analyzed during 2008-2009 shows strong evidence that Reiki is indeed responsible for positive biological responses in both humans and animals. Strongest evidence was reported in the most carefully controlled of all experiments, none other than laboratory rats. In both 2006 and 2008, stressed out lab rats received Reiki treatments. This is why I'm reading this shit. This is funny as fuck, man. These rats received Reiki treatments, and they all showed significantly reduced stress, anxiety, and depression responses. Sham or bogus Reiki treatments were given to the placebo group, and they showed no reduction in stress, anxiety, or depression. Testing in humans performed in 1933 and 2006 showed ratings from satisfactory to excellent, all suggesting the benefit of Reiki treatments were positive in controlling pain levels in humans. There were some confounding variables, which is typical in hospitals and studies. However, the placebo effect treatments in this experiment were by contrast ineffective in controlling pain. I haven't been able to find the distinguishing difference between a fake Reiki and a real Reiki. I wish I knew that, but there's only a couple more paragraphs. Other examples of Reiki studies performed in hospitals and universities may be found on this related site. Very interesting. Vital signs. Conduct this. The New York Presbyterian Hospital. Oh God. The Columbia University campus conducted one of the first studies ever performed to determine the effectiveness of Reiki treatments on the autonomic nervous system. This blind random study included a Reiki treatment group, a sham treatment group, and then the control group. The testing began with all participants at a baseline autonomic nervous system levels. The results within the Reiki treatment group showed a lowering of these levels, including heart rate, respiration, blood pressure. Positive results led the team to recommend further, larger studies to look at biological effects of Reiki treatments. Is this affecting your reality tone at all, or is this nonsense?
Not really, because again, everybody like Donald Young did essential oils, dude. He made a bunch of scientific claims that were apparently substantiated
Yeah,
by people until they were
yeah,
cut down on by the FDA.
yeah,
It's easy to, if I can find like scientific articles stating this, because again, this is coming up. Like if I just Google Reiki, first thing I see is Reiki's a form of alternative medicine called
yeah,
energy healing. That just immediately raises red flags for me. And then when it's referring to like their legitimate sources that they're claiming are legitimate versus like sham, or like, it's again doing that us versus them mentality,
yeah.
and it just raises more questions than anything.
Yeah, totally. I hear that. My last that's good feedback. I really appreciate you letting me read that.
And
The last thing I wanted to say
oh, yeah, go
was,
ahead.
oh yeah, talk to me. Actually, talk to me.
Oh, I was
Because
just gonna
I'm about to
say,
say some shit,
um,
dude.
because it's referring to energy healing, and there are benefits for just laying down and being still and
Yeah,
quiet, and it's gonna
yeah,
lower those like that
yeah,
frequency of your brain. It's gonna make like sitting there and just breathing for a bit. It's gonna have those benefits.
yeah.
The
In my
correlation
opinion,
between
you have to
like
talk
the
to me.
energy
Talk to me.
work and those benefits in particular, I feel like they deviate a bit because the benefits is coming from sitting there and being still and silent and thinking,
Yeah,
whereas it has to, because this is referring to spiritual energy. In order for a claim to be substantiated about spiritual energy, you have to prove that spiritual energy exists first before you can manipulate
yeah,
it.
for sure, for sure. But also, like, that might be a convenient way to explain something to someone that's difficult. Because, like, in my opinion, what you just described is what Reiki is. I think emotion contagion is real. I think placebo effect is real. I think everything is mind, considering that we're a manifold that's rendering our reality. So if you find a way to change your mind by using someone else's energy to feed off their energy, it seems very simple to me. It seems like less like a spiritual thing and more just like let's just consciously put our intent into something and then have that manifest. So it makes sense to me as a magic practice, a very simple cognitive practice. And I think I think my reality tunnel is just very different. So I don't know if I can like talk about Reiki without having to reconcile it through what I believe. So I guess that's problematic in the first place. Like, yeah, like yeah. That being said, the last piece of information that I was going to add to the topic is that occulted literature points to Christ being a practitioner of Reiki, and that his miracles when he was living was energy work, was a form of Taoistic Gnostic practices, some kind of vibratory intent that he was giving to other people. In my opinion, he was just some fucking autist, some fucking empath that was able to understand people's feelings. And people are like, oh my god, he's like in touch with spirituality. Like, no, he was just hyper aware and
Yeah.
was an empath and cared. And that, in my opinion, that's what this shit is about. Like all these people who are like, I can read auras. Like you're probably fucking autistic, bro. You're probably just hyper aware of everything. Like you can pick up on people's feelings. You can know when people are lying. These are all
Yeah.
consistent factors of hyperfunctionality. And in my opinion, it's a little bit simpler than what people are assuming. That's all I
Well,
have to say on that, though.
again, this is going to be kind of off topic, but like historians, like to this day, still debate on whether or not Jesus Christ even existed. I think
Yeah,
there's enough evidence to say that like he was a guy, he was real, but he wasn't born on Christmas. That's for sure.
yeah,
And the
straight up.
first draft of the Bible, I don't think even came out until 300 years after he died, and it
Yeah,
was
straight up.
revised and rewritten by like 6 or 7 different dudes over a period of a couple hundred years. And if like I think theologists have like broken down the Bible and like how it was written by the people that it was written, because like Matthew, James, whatever, these people weren't the actual authors. The people that wrote
Yeah,
the Bible are unnamed, just
yeah,
people that are lost to history.
yeah. And
And
they just attributed it.
as it was revised and rewritten over time, it started off very like simple. He was a dude that was teaching lessons. He was born blah blah blah, and then like the second revision is like, oh, he was born to a virgin mother, and like he came back from the dead. And then like as it goes on, like the miracles get more and more and more and more ridiculous. By the time that like the sixth draft was done, he was walking on water, bringing people back to the dead from the dead. But it didn't start
Yeah,
that way. And theologists that have
yeah, it didn't.
studied the Bible down to its core and like when it was written, that's an agreement from the people that believe this shit.
Yeah,
So it should only be taken into consideration that like it's just wrong.
it's
Like
just wrong.
the
Okay, yeah, I
concept
hear
of
that.
Jesus is just lost. we
it's
can at the very
propagandized.
least say that he probably existed.
Yeah, very true, very true.
So
Insight behind that, Christianity was made famous by the Roman Emperor Constantine, well after Jesus had died, and that was what spawned the incentive to create literature around it. Apparently, this emperor was like, you know what, that guy, he was probably right, and then he just converted to Christianity, and everyone wants to be like the emperor, and so that's what started Roman Catholicism. Everyone
yeah,
practicing this particular avenue, and what they needed was propaganda. They needed to be to radicalize to some extent. They needed to get excited, so they created literature based off all these stories that were floating around Jesus. That being said, there are documents that describe Jesus and what he did for different cultures because he traveled quite a bit. There is some documentation in the Bible that's attributed to literature older than it about his childhood, and then it talks about Jesus when he's 30. Like it skips those fucking 27 years. And granted, majority of it is already propaganda, so we can't look at the Bible very cleanly. But I can say there's like the Dead Sea Scrolls, all these lost pieces of literature that have surfaced up but haven't hit the mainstream because they attack the official narrative, are talking about Jesus fucking practicing like Buddhism and Gnosticism and doing all these like energy working and shit, which is very, very interesting. That's all I have to say about that. In my opinion, I don't know if spirituality has anything to do with it. I think propaganda is what has caused everyone to steer away from the idea that maybe there is something that we can do for ourselves that will help ourselves. I don't know though. I don't know though. This is me grasping for straws though. I think I'm attacking. I think I'm doing the wrong thing in this episode. I think that's good though. That's fine.
We need it. So
yeah,
we need both sides.
yeah, for sure. I agree. Your insight is valuable.
I appreciate that. Thanks. Thanks for letting me ramble.
So yeah, I mean, it's just really fascinating doing this week of research, just how much of a correlation there is behind alternative medicines and pseudoscience and its correlation with like cult leaders and their ability to manipulate these findings to get people to listen to them and follow them. And it's been fun. It's been interesting. Kind of glad we started out on this topic because I feel like it's something I've got a lot to say about. So,
Hell yeah. Do you have more to say about Gwyneth Paltrow and
oh man,
Goop?
I could talk about Gwyneth Paltrow forever. So interesting stuff that I found about her. Not even just her in particular, but the founder of WeWork, which is a company that has been in the news quite a bit recently. What's his name here? Adam Newman. He's a bit of a fucking eccentric dude. He is married to Gwyneth Paltrow's sister. And I think Gwyneth Paltrow's sister may be crazier than her. This dude is trying to find means to become immortal. And he started this big startup company, which isn't anything special, but it was praised by people in like Wall Street and just the news as like this huge innovative thing. It's basically just a shared workspace, he's just buying cheap buildings and renting them out to multiple companies at once instead of just one, and therefore there's more money involved. So yeah, he's made claims to he wants to be the king of the world, he wants to be immortal, and he wants to be the world's first trillionaire.
It's first trillionaire.
I think everyone wants that, to be honest.
He's speaking my language. Do you know immortal? Be a
Can
trillionaire?
relate.
I can relate. Do you know what method he's trying to become immortal through?
Not particular. I was going to go
Goop.
through the article a little more. Yeah,
Shoving
probably
jade
Goop.
eggs up his asshole and smelling his sister-in-law's vagina via a candle.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's what
Rebecca
I'm doing,
Newman.
so.
Born Rebecca Victoria Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow's sister married this dude. Her career. Let's see here. We Grow. What is We Grow? It's a company subsidiary with WeWork. not a lot of information on the wiki. Let me pull it up real quick. Let's see what's on their website.
Hey, what's this guy's name again?
Adam
The-
Newman.
Adam Newman. Interesting.
Uh-oh. I see children on our website, so...
Oh, that's not
Any
good.
website with a child is bad.
Rebecca Newman.
Can we-
How we grow?
All agree that immortality more or less already exists
You think so?
on the grounds that, well, think of it this way. Definitive artists such as Van Gogh and Michelangelo, they died how long ago, and we still talk about it.
It's true.
And
Okay.
fear mongers.
But we're talking about, like, concepts rather than, like, the people themselves. Like, the idea of this person exists, for sure. But eventually, they're gone. And same thing with, like...
I don't think they will be, though.
Oh, when the fucking Earth explodes, they're gone. When our sun is... fucking
If
going
the Earth
super-
explodes, everyone's gone.
We've got one...
Immortality or not, you'll be blown to bits.
We got one satellite with, like, some information going out there into the universe. That is the only bit of human information that'll last longer than the Earth, probably. And who knows if that's just going to crash into a comet one day and just fly into the sun at some point.
It's also the most bizarre thing we could have put on anything. Like what we wrote on that is fucking mind-boggling to me.
Well, we just try to
Tangent.
feel like math is a universal language, and that if anybody's going to pick it up, they're going to try to recognize that. Got pictures of what a person looks like and coordinates on where to find us.
Yeah, we get that, but like,
But how do we put coordinates out there when we made this? What if there's coordinates for the universe from another intelligent race? They're gonna find that and be like, "What the fuck is this gibberish?"
Well, it's under the pretenses that math is universal language, and if like math makes sense, that like it's a objective means of looking at something, and if we can use like trigonometry in the way that this is like, you know,
yeah, I see that.
voyaging through our universe,
'Kay, but-
they can backtrack it to us.
But for
We can break down what our solar system looks like.
for coordinates to work, you need reference points. What are the reference points?
I don't have it in front of me, but it's basically describing our solar system, and like it's keeping track
It
of
describes it. It's like we got
where
one
it's
big
coming
glowy ball, 9, well now 8, little other balls that do circles around it. We're this one. We're 3 away.
And again, it is using the assumption that they can decipher that. It's trying to break it down with like, what message can we make to the best of our knowledge that could be tracked down to us. And
Yeah.
if it's tracking like where it's going and its trajectory and where it's coming from, it could be tracked back. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hopefully.
What?
It's not like it matters. Aliens are already here.
They're already here. I just think it's funny that like a standard person couldn't decipher what we put on that thing. Like a standard human being would be like, what the fuck is this? Like I'm looking at it right now, and I remember like a couple things, but like I can't decipher any of the shit. Like I know we defined time like by using a molecule.
Post it in chat.
Yeah, I'll post it in chat. Anyways, you were saying something. You
So
were saying
we
something.
grow back to Rebecca Newman
Oh, yeah.
is a school. It's a school for children, which is problematic. I mean, I don't think I even need to get into it. It's
That we have
Bye-bye.
schools for children.
no. We work, or yeah, we grow is Adam Newman's wife's company. It's schools based out in like New York, it looks like, and it's all about Buddhism and spirituality and nature.
Sounds like a cult.
Curriculum. Let's see. Oh, there's a video. I'm not gonna watch that. 6 pillars of growth: mind, body, soul.
Will you post that in
which
Twitch
is an
chat, John?
immediate
Yeah, I haven't yet.
problem.
My
Okay.
computer's taking a minute.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
just got it through.
So
I was just
it looks
wondering
like
if
it's
it
a
came
school
through
just
in
for
the
like
Discord.
Yeah.
to build creativity and soulful mindfulness. So it's not like immediately problematic, but it is coming from somebody who has both the insight of Gwyneth Paltrow and her fucking nonsense, and then Adam Newman and his fucking nonsense. I know for a fact that she had come out at some point being anti-vax, so therefore, like, Adam Newman was like kind of like guilty by association for being anti-vax. So considering that she's starting a school for kids that don't necessarily need to be vaccinated is problematic. Bringing back polio, bringing it back strong.
Polio gang.
Polio coming back in a strong way. Coming back. You're gonna be surprised with these 5 diseases coming back.
Yeah,
strong.
what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, straight up, dude. Like, straight up.
That's just some gibberish.
It's so gibberish. It's so funny, dude. Yeah, but like maybe it's onto something. I don't know, but I can't say like it's problematic for me. Like I can't even describe it to people, and I end up talking about this quite a bit. I'm like, you know that message we sent to aliens? People are like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'll try to explain it to them. They're like, dude, you're retarded. I'm like, no, fucking scientists are. What's up?
Looking at it here, because a lot of it looks like trajectory and like frequency waves, and so this one here in the bottom left that's got like the trajectory outwards, it looks like maybe I don't know.
Yeah. How the fuck is like that just looks like a bunch of gibberish to me. Like if we found something like that, we'd be like, "Oh my god. It's aliens. They're using hieroglyphs."
Well, I think
Like-
Vsauce did a video kind of referring to this, like what would like if we were to like
Okay, yeah,
give
with
them
some
this message
insight
in
as
order-
to what any of this is, you might be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
But as
No,
John was
he
saying,
made
the
a
average
decision
person
behind it.
is not going to look at this and be like, "Oh yeah, of course." It's
that's
just
what's
coordinates for us.
Well, a lot of them are like dashes. Like you can see like there's like these dashes around. It's almost like it's I don't know.
Exactly.
I can't fucking make heads or tails of it.
Holy shit! I'm looking at the explanation. It is thick, dude. Holy shit. Yeah, like the math that we have, fucking, like there's a sequence of numbers that are going up and down. It demonstrates the double helix of our DNA,
Oh.
which is pretty exciting. Yeah, all these fucking ones and zeros indicate a binary sequencing that create like squares on a grid, and that can be fucking translated into like actual imagery. In addition to having imagery, it makes sense, I guess. I I don't know. I'm ignorant.
Oh, jeez. Is it explaining like what a one in is? I don't know. That's
Yeah, I
Well,
don't.
it's probably not gonna be picked up anyways. Like
Yeah,
the universe
it's-
is way too
yeah.
big. It's like past Pluto at this point, I think. So it's gonna be picked up. It's gonna be in that like 10,000 years.
Yeah, it's not even outside of our solar system. Fucking no one's gonna do that shit.
Yeah. It's a
Ain't
shame.
nobody's gonna see that shit.
Yeah, all that shit's beyond me,
Yeah, I feel dumb looking at it.
right? It just looks like a bunch of scribbles.
Yeah.
Like
Hopefully if,
it's some high school kid who was supposed to be taking notes and instead drew this shit.
I mean, it would be nice. I mean, I think it's under the assumption that it's going out to a civilization that's maybe more advanced than us that should be able to decipher it. Because like
Yeah.
we've got scholars that are able to decipher like the Rosetta Stone, and that
Yeah.
was like.
But we don't know
years ago.
how accurate that is.
Once you deciphered one part, it became very easy to decipher all of it because we're all saying the same message.
Yeah.
That's the exciting part of the Rosetta Stone. Dude, who made the Rosetta Stone? That shit is pretty genius, dude.
From
Shit.
Egypt, right?
Egypt? Damn,
I thought it
Egypt.
was an Egyptian thing.
Yeah.
Her name was Rosetta. Rosetta Stone.
She was a 16-year-old autist. She's a genius.
She just got really high, and that's what happened. And here we are, thousands of years later, trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, in Egypt.
It's like a dictionary, right? Basically, like it's like a bunch of Egyptian texts trying to like find a way to correlate with what it means. Because up to a certain point, Egyptian language was just like nonsense.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy. I forgot that it had hieroglyphs on it. Yep. Seems like Egyptian was passed around quite a bit. Cracked in 1700s, I think. I don't know, I'm mistaken. Yeah,
Found.
found in 1799. It was discovered, yeah.
It was like translated throughout like the 1820s.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. That's very exciting, dude. That's very exciting. Thank
Yeah.
you. Bless up. Old people. Appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
Turns out we don't have to send you to the sun just yet.
They're already in the sun.
Yeah, that's just a bunch of scribbles on a rock.
Yeah, I can't make heads or tails of it, therefore it makes no sense.
That's funny. Yeah, okay, so
Accurate.
I'm ignorant. That's what I ascertained.
Alright, I've had to pee for like the past hour, so I'm gonna go pee real quick.
I
have
hear
fun
that.
without me
Hey,
for a
what's
second.
the? Okay, that sounds good. What's the
I'll have
time
my
right
headset
now?
on so I can still hear what we're
What
talking
are
about.
we at right now?
So we don't talk shit on you while you're guys. Just kidding. Yeah, what
Oh,
time
I
are we
was
at?
gonna talk shit on him. Fuck. We're at 2.5 hours.
That's exciting.
So we're getting pretty close to the end here.
That's exciting.
There's something else I wanted to bring up. Now I can't remember. On the subject of pseudoscience,
Yeah.
the science deniers. I feel like those two kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. What are people denying about science?
A lot.
A
So
lot.
a lot
Yeah.
of religious people believe that science is how we see religion, just a bunch of made up bullshit, and we just have a bunch of numbers that we made work to make all of our claims real.
Yeah.
So everything scientific is bullshit. We never went to the moon. Dinosaurs weren't real.
Ooh, this is what people were doing?
Yeah.
Denying this? Oh, great.
They think that dinosaurs were placed here by us. Like the fossils are fake and we place them to disprove God and make them question their beliefs.
Okay.
It's like if dinosaurs make you question your beliefs, then your beliefs are a little weird.
Yeah.
But also like GMOs.
Yeah.
I can see the smile on Spencer's face already.
I've got a lot to say about GMOs. Anyways, so back to dinosaurs. Isn't it kind of like what a fucking estranged idea for us to come up with giant lizards used to exist to prove your god is wrong?
Right? Like that's the one thing we can come up with that's like,
How
gotcha,
much acid
bitch, your god's not real because dinosaurs.
How much acid would that person have to be on to like for that to be the thing? It's like we could have said anything to prove that the Earth was older than they were imagining, or that something. But no, giant fucking lizards. So
Yeah,
dumb.
it's pretty eccentric.
People are ridiculous. They'll shift what they believe around what they're supposed to be told that they need to believe. They'll adjust their views based on what they're supposed to believe in blind faith.
Yeah.
But, so on the topic of GMOs, I think majority of it is just, again, lack of information. And the appeal to naturological fallacy is that something that is, we got our grubby little hands on it and it made it bad, full of chemicals.
It's
concept
back
exists.
to chemicals being
Yeah.
bad for you. But it's like we're pumping it full of chemicals that occur naturally. So it should be
Yeah.
good for you. Like you
And
fucking
that's-
idiots.
And that's hardly even what we're doing. So what is happening when we refer to like GMOs is it's rather than evolution taking place naturally, we are, and this exists in every form of food we eat, regardless of whether or not it is considered organic, or if it's referring to meat like fed in the field. What's that referred to? Like seed fed or
Grass fed.
grass fed? what we're doing is we are taking the best of the best and breeding it with the best of the best, like bigger, juicier fruit. We're going to take the seeds of the better fruit and plant the crops with those, and those are going to constantly be over and over and over time become bigger, better,
Like, aren't
tastier.
bananas?
Yeah.
Well, bananas are genetically modified, but weren't they majority like seed?
Yeah.
And we ended
If
up
you look
breeding
at-
out the seeds, so it's an
if you look
edible
at-
fruit.
Yeah, so non-cultivated bananas, if you look at them, they're like the size of your fucking thumb, and they're just full of seeds, and they taste fucking disgusting. But-
They're tiny.
Yeah, they've been cultivated over time to be bigger, smaller seeds, more manageable for crops to be like redistributed. And for the most part, more nutritious because it's bigger. You're putting less energy into developing these crops, and you're getting more out of it. It's better for the environment because you're utilizing less soil, less fields. Bigger fruit means more carbon dioxide intake and more oxygen output, right? It's generally better, all in all, for crops to be genetically modified. And all that really means is that we're pulling the best crops and breeding them with better crops and making them bigger and better. When we get into like genetic engineering, that's a little bit different, more or less the same. But what's the company's name? Monsanto. I don't even need to look it up. Monsanto is. There are problems with Monsanto. It's basically a monopoly at this point for genetically engineered foods, which can be a problem in itself. But when people complain about Monsanto, that's not the problems they're bringing up. It's the fact that like they're fucking tampering with our food. They're making chemicals in it. They made Raid, and they were a company I think that made Agent Orange in like back in the day.
Yeah, so
So-
there are issues with Monsanto, but none of them really pertaining to GMOs.
Yeah, so people like bring up a lot of like problems with
So I used
the
to
method.
install conveyors at Monsanto, and it is a very clean plant considering it is it's a mining operation because this is more for their raid side of production. I can't remember. I think they were mining some sort of a phosphate. So as you're there, you need a respirator on you at all times and full eye goggles, like closed sides, just in case anything happens. So they're it's not some shady operation where they're just out there with like shovels digging this shit up. It's a legitimate mining operation approved by MSHA, taking all of the proper safety precautions, and what they're bringing out is important because like those phosphates that they're mining are then used as a growth enhancer for crops, and also like a pesticide for crops. But this pesticide is not, it doesn't kill all the crops around it, just the bugs that get to it. So even if they're using it on, or they use it on everything, not just GMO'd plants. So
Yeah.
your plants, the plants that everyone's claiming are so much better for you, you still have that same shit on it.
Yeah, pesticides, when typically referring to like organic grown, usually refers to like all natural pesticides, which again, appeal to naturological fallacy. Natural is not a synonym for healthier or better. In fact, more often than not, it's shown that the pesticides used on organic fruits are more harmful or they're more poisonous than the shit we use on genetic engineered fruits. In fact, we've been able to break down the genetic structure and develop plants that are naturally resistant to, they hold genes that are
Certain
just going to be resistant
molds
to
and
certain
like little viruses that'll end up killing plants.
yeah.
They've been
And-
able to remove certain parts of plants that do attract the bugs. Like
They're just making it easier to farm. Yeah.
Pesticides that like, because when you break down like a chemical that may be poisonous for one thing, it's not necessarily poisonous for you. Same thing with like why dogs can't digest chocolate. You can.
Or
If we made a
grapes or
pesticide-
onions. Like,
if dogs were just little bugs and they were eating our food, we'd just spray that shit with chocolate and it would kill them. And we wouldn't be all like, ah, it's, like, and that's the mindset that exists with these people, is that like the shit that we're using to kill these bugs are in no way harmful to us in the doses that they're using. Because like I mentioned earlier, anything can be poisonous with enough dosage. But
it's like, yeah, if you're worried about it, just maybe like wash your fucking food before you eat it.
yeah.
That solves a lot of your concerns right there.
Yeah. So that gets a little more problematic when it comes to like people trying to sanction them like entirely. It's a bit more rare nowadays. But that fear like still exists, and we've genetically engineered certain strains of rice to have, I believe it was vitamin A.
I think that's
Because-
golden rice.
Well, yeah.
If I
think
remember right.
I think there's more so than just golden. I
Well,
think you're
golden rice being the main,
right. Yeah, because there are
the most well
the
known.
majority of the population of the Earth is underfed. They are malnourished. In like Asian countries specifically, and majority of what they have is rice. And if we can put more nutrients behind rice, we're one step closer to solving world hunger. But there are people that are coming down on genetic engineering hard. And it's problematic because it's better for the environment. It is providing food to people that otherwise would not have these nutrients. There's nothing in these people's diets that are providing for like required nutrients. We're trying to provide those to these people, and people are just ignorant to it. It's really sad.
Isn't the current form of corn as we know it genetically modified?
Oh
plant?
yeah, corn is, we've
Yeah,
pretty much
and is it-
always had it down to like the natives. Natives started genetic engineering with corn.
Yeah,
The crops
in
that they
fact-
were developing. They passed that on to a lot of that onto us.
Yeah, corn's in everything too. Fucking fructose corn syrup, cornstarch. Fucking, there's so much shit that was derived from it. It's in every single aspect.
If you
I
can
don't know,
manage
most
to
aspects of
find,
food.
if you can manage to find non-cultivated corn, it's like pinky size. There's like 3 fucking small grains of corn on each side, and they are hard as a rock, damn near inedible. So
So as well as corn and rice, soybeans. We've GMO'd soybeans, which accounted for half of all GMO'd crops planted in 2014. Wheat, as of December 2017, GMO'd wheat has been evaluated in field trials but has not been released commercially.
yeah, so there's no GMO wheat currently on the market. Same thing with I think tomatoes. It was either tomatoes or apples. No, apples. Hold on. Let's see here. It was one of those things that's like mind blowing because you think it's like. I know there's one food that was like. Currently, there are no genetically modified tomatoes available commercially, but scientists are developing tomatoes with traits like increased resistance to pest. Okay, so there are currently no genetically modified tomatoes, which is really funny because when you look at any of the anti-GMO, like whatever, it's always got a picture of a fucking tomato with a syringe in it. Like, that's what these people think GMOs are. It's really funny, but there's not a single one out there. You can't buy a GMO tomato. I mean, they're technically genetically modified because we've been cultivating them. But as far as like Monsanto's concerned, as far as engineering it to be any different, marketing it via Monsanto, it's not out there.
So and then these are derivative products of genetic modification. There's lectin, sugar, and vegetable oil. Says most vegetable oil used in the U.S. is produced from genetically modified crops. Vegetable oil is sold directly to consumers as cooking oil, shortening, and margarine. I don't know why I'm reading what vegetable oil is. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what that is. But
There's
yeah,
a lot of
most of
lobbying.
our vegetable oil is genetically modified.
A lot of lobbying going around to try to make it so all um anything that uses anything that's genetically engineered has to have labeling on it, like clear depictions of labels, as if like it's you all see the fucking butterfly with the like non-GMO certified whatever. That doesn't mean anything. Like in this day and age, like looking for that label.
Well, and that
Honestly,
claim is asinine because most of these non-GMO certified things contain a GMO product.
and it really goes to show like how little these people understand about this, because you can go find, and I'm not fucking with you, organic salt. That's not a thing. Salt is not an organic compound. It's a mineral. It it's fucking ridiculous that these people are so in their head that like that means it's better. And all it's really doing is it's a status symbol. People with money buy organic to prove that they care. They care about what I'm putting in my body. It's like, no, you don't know what you're putting in your body. It's
Um, so it says other uses are animal feed, which is if you're not eating genetically modified beef, that beef is eating genetically modified products. So sorry. Proteins, main one being rennet. It's a mixture of enzymes used to coagulate milk into cheese. So cheese is more or less contains a GMO product. Then there are genetically modified livestock and salmon.
one product that's always like scrutinized by people that don't know anything. Okay, my bad. On that, because we stated we're not trying to shit on people, because people, it's again common misconception. But BST, it's a bovine somatotropin, some whatever. It's a growth hormone used in more often than not cows, and it's scrutinized because it's like, well, that sounds dangerous. That sounds like whatever. Makes their cows bigger, more meat, right? And um, it's considered like a toxin for humans, according to these people. You can inject this hormone directly into yourself, and it would not have a single reaction to it. It has no effect on the human body, but it's still like seen as like this problematic thing that we're doing, RBST and BST.
What makes me laugh is a lot of the same people that shit talk GMOs are out there smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, getting implants, getting Botox. It's like, and you think that shit's any
Yeah,
better for you? Like, how do you
yeah.
justify that this is bad, yet all of that is okay? Like, are you fucking. Do you think at all?
No, I think they just
No.
rally behind something because it's like what we do nowadays.
True.
Want to jump in and, ooh, this is bad for you, and this is the new superfood. Are you eating acai berries? Are you eating avocados? Are you eating kale? Are you doing coffee enemas?
Yes, to all
No,
of
like
those.
I wish I was doing coffee
And
enemas.
I'm super healthy. Look at me. I'm doing it so much my hair's falling out. That means it's working, right?
yeah.
Or it's not
Uh,
falling out, it's just growing here instead.
but like if you look at the people that are buying organic, they're dying at the same age. They're not living any longer. Maybe some of these people are being a little more conscientious of their health, but the correlating factor is not that they are buying grass-fed or non-GMO. It is the fact that you might be a little bit more conscientious of your health if you are looking towards those things. Again, it all comes back down to placebo. If there is any correlation of these people living long.
All right, well, we're running
Actually,
a
there
little
is.
long now.
I just want to follow up with that. There is actually a little bit of correlation because people that generally buy that have a little more money to throw around towards like health insurance and taking care of themselves.
Yeah, that makes sense. The status.
So, what should we talk about next week? Does anyone in chat have
Um,
recommendations? Something you want to hear us get into a little bit?
I vote we talk about the FLDS church because I don't know much about it. That's
Can
my vote.
you get that friend on, Spin?
Well, it's gonna be a bit of a push because it's that friend's friend, and if I'm gonna pull them on, I'm gonna pull them on to talk about the potential cult that they were involved with, and then maybe if they had an enjoyable experience, see if they're willing to pull on that third party. So that'll be a bit much, but I want to try it. I want to see what I can do.
Okay.
Yeah, at the very least, try to get some insight.
Yeah.
Think
See if
that'd be
they'll at least sit down and talk to you
Talking
or
about it. Yeah.
like message you on Facebook about it, and we can just read. They don't even necessarily have to come on, just get some insight as to what they think.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So yeah, if you want to go into FLDS, I would be down for that.
Fuck yeah, bro. Sounds awesome. Dude, Warren Jeffs is still alive in prison. An effective cult leader from fucking
And
prison.
just his brother took over or some shit, right?
I actually don't know.
Well, I guess we'll find out next week.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So next Sunday, say about 2 p.m., we'll be back here again. 2 p.m. Mountain Time.
The third coming.
The
Exactly.
third coming.
CUMMING.
Coming.
Okay. Well, we just got banned. Thanks, Spencer. We might be doing just some bullshit streams during the week. Don't know.
Yeah, watch
Keep an
out for
eye on
those
it.
for sure.
Say
More often than not,
probably
just shit talking.
trying to keep them closer to the middle of the week, so probably Wednesday, Thursday. Might do on Friday. They're all just kind of impromptu streams. We're like, hey, we got nothing
Yeah.
going on. Let's just start a stream. So keep an eye out. We'll be around.
Fucking hell yeah.
Anything else you guys want to say before we
yeah.
take off?
No, I think I'm good.
I think that's about it. I think we covered a lot of stuff in great detail.
Yeah, you did a really good job. I really appreciate the feedback. I learned a lot this week, actually.
Fuck, we didn't talk about our cult once.
No.
Our cult?
Well, I wanted to. I think we should
Our
probably touch on
cult.
the fact we might get in trouble if we outright say we're starting a cult. So let's just say we're starting an anti-cult. It's
Okay.
No,
Okay.
we've made it clear that our cult is anti-cult.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like, I'm pretty sure if we even define it as a cult, it could probably cause some problems. So we
Well,
should probably just
In that case, we can be like,
It's-
well,
it- you know, we're still, like,
technically,
bringing
MLMs
in
are cults.
prostates.
Stop
we
with the
gotta-
prostate.
No, they're a prostate. Here too, you're in a prostate.
You're a prostate. That's about it. Guys, I have to pee so badly, so I gotta get off the stream. But take it away, okay?
all right.
All right.
Yeah, join the cult. The
anti-
cult of cult beginnings. So remember, folks, pay your tithing, and then things will. What are you doing? Are you okay?
Yeah. I'm just
Why
saying
is
bye.
that one arm up?
Oh, you know, just saying bye.
No, not that one. The other one. Why is it just like,
Isn't this the?
hey? Yeah, but it just. Does that not look weird that I'm doing that? That I just have one arm up?
It's on my my wrist. I'm not just like holding it.
Well, so is mine, but it still looks weird. All right, guys, we'll be back Sunday.
People, bye!
We'll be back Sunday, 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Keep an eye out. We might be on during the week. Pay your tithing, guys. Bye.